Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 163. I'm your host, as always, Dan. I'm joined by my friend and golfing partner, Samson. How you doing? How's things? How was your Thanksgiving, rather?
It was glorious, full of food, ate far too much, played some Mario Kart, played some Mario Party. It was actually, I couldn't believe it. I got a little story here. You ready?
Go on. Yeah, we're all for the stories.
All right. So we're playing Mario Party, and I was more watching, and it was my girlfriend, her sister, and her brother, and her daughter, who's about 5 years old. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting with her daughter and was sort of helping her along. Yeah, her brother stole all of her daughter's coins. I couldn't believe it. She was stuck at 0-0 pretty much the entire game because she basically didn't win any mini games. And one of my friends asked, "Oh, did she throw a tantrum?" And I was like, "No, she didn't. She just demanded that she was winning."
Even with
I was like,
confidence.
Honestly, it was better because sure, kid, you're winning.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, she's playing golf rules, kind of fitting to this podcast, right?
Exactly.
The lower the score, the better. So,
but yeah, it was a great time. Got into some gaming. How was your Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was very nice actually. I went back to Vancouver, saw a bunch of friends. We went to see the wrestling. We went to WWE which was like Survivor Series, which was like one of their big pay-per-views, which was so much fun. We had great tickets, and I drank so much whiskey over the weekend.
Who won?
Well, there was a bunch of matches. We won. The audience won because we were very entertained. Right. But I had so much whiskey. We normally do this like annual whiskey night, and I didn't think I was going to make it this time because obviously I moved to Toronto. But because of Thanksgiving, it was perfect. I went over and we did our like annual whiskey night, which was really nice. I had a lot of whiskey, and my voice is still, my throat especially. I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday, and this was on Friday night. It's still not recorded. It felt like I had like a bunch of cigars or cigarettes, and I don't smoke, so that I know of. Yeah, exactly. It's the whiskey. I think the whiskey does the same thing to your throat. But yeah, it was very good. But unlike you, I didn't get into anything because I was traveling over Thanksgiving. So apart from obviously Walkabout, which we're going to talk about, but Walkabout, so we're going to talk about. Nice. Before we start the show here, just a quick housekeeping here. The Discord link should be the new one in the description. So come join us in the Discord if you haven't already. If you want to support us, go on to patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus to throw us $1 or more. $5 or more gets you this podcast slightly early. I don't know what else I was going to say because I didn't write any of this housekeeping down. Oh yeah, this is just today's episode is more of like a special episode. We're going to talk about what we've been playing. Samson's gone into Trombone Champ, so he can talk to you about how it's the best game coming out in 2024, but we'll get into that later. Obviously, both of us have been playing a bunch of Walkabout Mini Golf Holiday Hideaway, which is the new course. But the reason why this is a special episode is because at the end of this episode, we've sat down with Dave and Edward from Mighty Coconut, and they go into basically, we booked it because we wanted to talk about Holiday Hideaway, but we don't really get to that till right towards the end. Like the whole podcast is more just to.
It's just a walkabout.
It's a walkabout, talk about, and it's to basically celebrate them and celebrate the company of their like fantastic 2024 that Walkabout has had. Like it's crushed it. Like we've seen obviously the Game Awards, and there's a bunch of awards for different things, but the VR Game Awards aspect of it is just like the best game. In terms of like best updates or DLC or such, like you can't look past Walkabout, to be honest. Like they've absolutely crushed this year. They've got a bunch of courses, which in a future episode we're going to rank, but then also they've come out with the iOS app, which is also going to come to Android soon enough as well. They've updated, like remastered courses. They've updated like in-game elements, and we're going to talk about the ball sorting, which they've just updated, for example. They've put in new game modes and such. They're constantly
it's been a big year.
It's been a massive year. I mean, we talk about Walkabout. I'm going to keep saying it because it just sounds right. Every single like week, almost, to be honest. Especially when we're talking about the tournament. But yeah, it's probably one of the best games, if not best game on Quest.
You might say, Dan, that the end of this pod is really the beginning of this pod.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. All right, Samson, let's get into the games that we played this week, and obviously, since it's a topic of the show, let's talk about Walkabout.
Let's get into it.
I think I've said that 25 times now. So Walkabout Mini Golf, Holiday Hideaway. Before we talk about the actual course, Samson, as I just mentioned there, let's talk about the updated ball sorting that we have. So for those of you who haven't jumped into the update just yet, basically when you go into the Walkabout Shack, you just have a massive big kind of like table which has all of the balls that you have. Now, for me, who haven't collected too many, it's not too bad. There's still a lot, but it's not too bad. But for people like Samson and a lot of our LTO Walkabout faithful, shall we say, that whole table is completely covered, and sometimes it kind of gets laggy sometimes when you put your face in there or anything like that. There's a lot going on. So what they've done now is, I think, a clever idea. What I thought they were going to do is just going to have an ability to like choose 5 of your favorite balls and put them on the side or something. But they've done something way better, and what they've done is now have compartments for each course. So each course, all 30 of them, have their own compartments, and all the balls that you found for those courses are in each of those compartments, which Sam's not sure
about. It's basically what it was before, but each course is funneled together. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they're all loose within that course.
Exactly. I don't know about you, Samson, but I love this idea because the ball that I constantly use is it's a white ball with like a rainbow kind of maze on there, and I had no idea where I found that ball, but now I realized I found it in Labyrinth, which makes sense because It's an actual labyrinth on the ball itself. It's the ball I use all the time. So yeah, what do you think about? What was your thoughts?
Did you notice you also have a place for your last 8 balls? I think 8 or.
Yeah. I did not notice that. No. So there's like a frequently or like recently used.
Yeah, it'd be your last 8, I think.
That's really cool. What do you think about the ball sorting?
Dan, I think it's fantastic. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. It has nothing to do with really the gameplay, but honestly, for organization and for those who have really put in the time to get all the balls, it was very convoluted and almost like intimidating. I just would end up just picking one ball and sticking with it. Mm-hmm. Whereas now I feel like I'm more inclined to go one court, like a ball from each course, and just keep moving down the line type of deal. I feel like it'll breed more, not creativity, but like, I'm going to use more of the balls. I feel like other people will probably use more of the balls too.
You know what?
I wonder, I wanted to ask them this, sorry, and I forgot to ask by the end of the pod, or, we talked to them for a while, so I'll save it for the next time. Right. Do they have the statistics of how often each ball and club is used?
Yeah, they must do. They must have that for sure. I'd be surprised. I feel like, the creators of the game, they should probably have every statistic on everything, like how many strokes one's used on the whole tour of Cherry Blossom or something, and such like that, what the average is. I feel like they'll have all of that for sure. But yeah, it would be interesting if they do have that, to put out what the most popular ball used was in 2024 or such, or the club or something like that. That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
For sure.
The only thing that I would like critique on the ball sorting, not like it needs to be critiqued at all. And this is just coming.
Hear this nitpick.
This is just coming from somebody who definitely hasn't got all 18 balls in every single course. But it'd be cool if there was like an indicator on there which shows me that I don't have all 18 balls. So I don't know if like.
Well, when you look at the course.
Yeah. When you look in the course, for sure. Yeah, this is a very much a nitpick. I'm just like looking for something here. But like, let's say if I'm in Widows, if I look at the Widows Walkabout section, maybe if the table map behind it was red, which means that it's not fully completed, and then it goes green when you have got all 18
some colors.
I think that'd also be very satisfying when you do complete it and give you more incentive to complete it.
Honestly, it makes me want to make designs and not complete more or fewer of them, do stripes or something like this. But when you do, like, you don't have to go into the course. When you select the course, it'll say you have 15 out of 18 balls or whatever. Yeah,
that's true. I'm just being nitpicky. Should we talk about should we talk about the course itself?
We shall.
So Holiday Hideaway, to give the quick premise of people who haven't played it, and we're not going to spoil too much about it, and obviously we'll talk about certain things, but I won't tell you exactly what the club looks like, for example. But it is, you're in this cabin, and you're in the living room of the cabin, and you've got the Christmas tree there and the fireplace and like your dining table and your clock and such like that. But what it is that you're shrunk down to toy size, essentially. It feels like you're like one of those army toys, like that size. So then you're going around the course as a toy, and you're like climbing up the Christmas tree. You're playing golf on a clock, or you're going into like the mouse's hut, shall we say, or their hole where their cheeses and such like that. See, that's more.
It's your typical idealistic living room, generic living room, if you will. That's the feeling I got. It's got a very cozy living room, right? It's got the fireplace, the mantle. It's got the Christmas tree in the corner. You got a window there that you're looking out on some nice snow, and there's presents under the tree. Everything is decorated. It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas.
It is really beautiful with all the different elements and such. And this is I wanted to point this out real quick, that this is the first course that I remember, and I could be slightly wrong here because there are 30 of them now, but this is the first course that easy mode is actually at night and hard mode is actually in light, in the daytime, which is a complete switch of what all of them is. But it makes sense. It makes sense.
I will admit that I didn't notice this, and then I saw you wrote that in the notes, and I went back in, and it blew my mind.
Yeah, that's why I noticed straight away when I played hard. I was like, "Oh, it's the daytime." This is
because I just went right into golfing. I think when I went into the hard mode,
which is an interesting choice. I mean, I do want to say to everybody listening that the interview that we have later on in the show, we actually hadn't played the course before then because we had to record it a week before Thanksgiving, so the course wasn't ready. So there are definitely some more extra questions that I would have probably asked them now that I've played, like this one, like why the choice of this? Why did you flip it?
It's okay. But it's good to take the perspective of the listener.
This is my perspective, is that easy mode is the night before Christmas, and hard mode is Christmas morning.
That's it.
That's what that's my perspective on it.
You nailed it. I didn't even think of that, but that's it. You did it, Dan.
All this whiskey in my brain is still working.
It's clear-headed you.
It has. Let's talk about the course itself, though. In terms of the actual playing, Samson. Let's just talk about the hole number 1, where you're playing on the Walkabout Mini Golf board game.
Dan, I love it. It's got to be one of my favorite holes in this entire course, both on easy and hard mode.
Yeah, me too.
In hard mode, it gets kind of shoots and ladderies, like you gotta get it down the narrow slide potentially, or the wider slides and all that. It's such a creative idea, and now I really want to play the Walkabout Mini Golf board game.
Yeah, I feel like they should sell this in their store because the board game looks like, just something that you can put together. Think of like the train set where you can put together all the tracks and such. It's like the board game's kind of similar in that. And yeah, you saw also on the board game that it has all 4 of the original courses in the corner of the board game as well. And then you got the board game box, which is really cool. Which I think it is the Around the World edition is what the board game, and that actually leans into exactly what I was going to say next, and that this course is full of Easter eggs. There's so many Easter eggs, so many references also to pretty much every course out there. I mean, I didn't go in and count, this is reference 1, 2, 3, 4, or anything like that, but pretty
Even
much
in
every
mechanics,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You've got mechanic references, and also just like the baubles in the actual tree, or like a different sign, or something like that. Like it, or there might be like there's sheep in there, but designed in the way that this horse is designed, but obviously Kyoto Valley and such. So it's fun to see. It's fun to see. Samson, have you found any of the golf balls? Have you done well on those at all?
I wouldn't go so far as to say I've done well on them, but I think I've found about 6 of them or so.
Mm.
I couldn't, none of them really stood out to me yet that I can think of. But once I find them all, I'll get back and I'll try to pick one. I'll try to pick one and
really
use it for a bunch. Yeah.
I found one.
How about you? How many did you find?
I found one or two. I can't remember, but they're just very festive. They're very festive. That's all I can say about them.
Not many.
No, I couldn't. Even when I was looking, I still couldn't find that many. I'm really bad at finding balls.
Do you notice there's a new, almost sparkly shimmer? I don't want to call it like a graphic, but on some of the presents, I believe, or some of the wrappings,
lights as well.
Yeah. There's a really nice sparkly glitter shimmery deal.
Yeah. I did notice that as well. And then, like you just said there as well, with the references to the mechanics, we've got some ice layer in there. Seems to be like the biggest one. There are some other subtle ones, like the mazes, like you said, from Alfheim, probably is what I'm trying to think of.
Like that one.
Or there's another one that I can't. Temple of Zazora is what I'm trying to say. I always get them two slightly mixed up.
Sand.
Yeah, with the sand, this time with snow as well. So yeah, with the ice layer one's the biggest one because there's about four holes I think, which are all like ice. That, 4 or 5. I think there's one extra in hard, but I could be slightly wrong there. But your ball basically is an ice cube. There's no heat or anything like that you have in ice layer to kind of melt.
You're
the ball.
Just on ice.
You're just on ice, and yeah, just a fun. It's fun to switch it up, fun to switch the mechanics up.
There was one where you're in a sort of a tube. I really like that one because it sort of gives you the idea of we haven't yet played around with sliding that vertically. I feel so that was kind of a cool effect. And I just love the whole tiny village because I've been setting up my tiny village here at home, and so then to be playing
on an
actual tiny village, it was just kind of surreal. This one I can't say. I mean, maybe in July because there's Christmas in July, but outside of when you're really in the mood for that Christmas spirit, I think that's sort of what you can hold against this course is. You're not going to necessarily want to play this course year round.
Right. Yeah, right. Which is, it's not really a criticism. It's just, it is what it is, right? Yeah. It's, but hey, some people to get in the Christmas mood every single month.
That's facts.
Feeling a bit down, get into that spirit, and play some cozy. It's very cozy. The sound effect with the crackling on the actual fireplace is really satisfying.
I listened to the music too. It was good. But Dan, I don't want to get too far off of talking about the holes. Because there's a couple holes that I wasn't that enthusiastic about. Do you want to? Did you feel not enthusiastic about any?
I really had a tough time with the 18th hole. With the cheese, I really had a tough time with that. Like, I feel like the trees grates, the holes in the cheese are meant to try and catch you if you hit it too hard or something like that. but it doesn't catch me at all. I feel like it keeps jumping off, and it's very rare that it does catch you. And then, with the last hole, you're basically on the like Swiss cheese, and you've got a few different flags, and one's for like +1, +2, +3, or something like that. So you want to try and get +1, of course. But yeah, I find that one quite difficult. And what I noticed in hard mode was that there was a lot of holes that were like fine. They were a bit more challenging, but they weren't hard at all. But you'll get like one or two, maybe even three of them where you can max out quite easily, and it will stump you. Think of like the one there's a hole where you're at pretty much almost the top of the Christmas tree, and you have to it's one of those holes that you just have to hit over a slope and need to get it into the
ski slope one.
Not the ski slope one, the one that you have to... Actually, it might be the skis. No. The one that you have to put it into Santa's sack, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Where you're hitting it into before. It's an ornament you're hitting it into.
That's kind of
I really like that one. I didn't struggle with that one at all.
I struggled on hard just because it moves. I just couldn't get it. Couldn't get it right. But they're one of those kind of, those ones, because they're in like Tessie Station, for example.
You can't get screwed on them. It's like the duck in Wallace and Gromit. If you're not, you got to get that right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I'll go and play later on today and I'll get it right straight away. But then sometimes I just can't.
Yeah, you're just off. Right.
Exactly. So yeah, what about you? Did you have any ones?
Yeah, so 18, real meh. I was not a fan of that cheese hole. It's hard for me to put words to it, but it felt uncomfortable to hit it.
Is it the holes
on that cheese? Yeah. And just like the whole, how it plays off the cheese and into those holes. And I found on easy mode it to be kind of a challenge because it's a big divot. It is, there.
Yeah. I thought so too.
And it's not so much that it's like challenging that I feel like they usually go a bit grander with their 18s. The Geyser last 8-bit layer had a big boss, right? That blew up at the end. Spoilers if you haven't played that one.
I'm pretty sure that's fine.
But here we are in the next course, yeah. And this one's just like a sleeping mouse in this house that rhymed. and you're playing on his piece of cheese for some reason. I don't know. I can't think of something that would be grander. I'm not upset. It doesn't ruin the course, but I did think that, I did feel like it left a little bit to be desired there.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And then the ribbon loop, I think it's hole 6, perhaps. It's somewhere kind of early where it's on the ribbon and you got to hit it through the loop. I kind of struggled on that one.
Yeah.
But everything else was, I'd say, good to great.
We've seen that loop. We've seen that loop before, right? I forget which course it is now, to be honest.
Tethys has a loop.
Tethys has a loop? Yeah, maybe it is.
Mars has a loop.
Mars, yeah, fair.
I think it's 18.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I always struggle with those loop ones again. Like, it's just getting that power right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those. But overall, a really good course. I mean, we need to play it more. And obviously, in 2 or 3 weeks' time, when we put out our Walkabout rankings, which will actually be probably the Christmas episode on the 27th. We'll talk about this a little bit more in terms of where we rank it for 2024. But yeah, just a lovely, lovely course in general, to be honest. Have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, it was a nice surprise as well, because I don't think any of us was expecting.
I did not think this was coming.
Me neither, no. So it was a nice surprise, and it was a nice wrap up, and it seems like I said, with all those references and
I mean, it's kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
Dan, to have a place where you can go experience the wonders, the happiness, the joy, the beauty of Christmas, and just jump into that spirit. What am I going to put on a Christmas movie in April? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hop into Walkabout, and I'm going to have a holiday hideaway experience.
I love it. We'll stop it there. That's fantastic. Okay, so everyone go enjoy Walkabout. And obviously, at the end of this show, we're going to talk to Dave and Edward as well. Samson, that's the all I've been playing. So the floor is yours. Tell me about the game of the year.
Yeah, I guess because you could talk a little bit about it too. You played in the past. So I added a bunch of Trombone Champ custom tracks, which is very easy to do.
Yeah.
Pardon me. But you just essentially you can use every custom track that was played on the flat version. And let me tell you, the flat version of this game took off like meme wise. So there's a bunch of meme sort of like goofy songs. What was that one I posted? I tagged you in it, Dan. It was like the British Parliament person retiring.
You posted on Discord, yeah.
Liz Truss resigns as prime minister.
Yeah.
And it's just the trombone to it, and you're just like, what the deuce?
Yeah.
But I played some Ave Maria. I played some I Will Always Love You. I played some Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. And then I just started downloading more and more and more of them to add.
Also, what is the process? Is it just something that you just sideload essentially?
Yeah, essentially. There's a VR with Jasmine video. She made one.
Yeah.
That I watched. We can maybe put that in the description if you'd like. It's a great. She explains it everything, and she has a link to the custom tracks.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Website as well. In that
noted. VR Jasmine guide. Okay, I'll add that to the description.
Cool. I'll get it to you. Then I got into.
Wait, before you go on,
did you want to say more?
I just wanted to say, Game of the Year. Do you understand now?
I mean, it's great. It's great.
It's so much fun. That's the thing. I saw you also posted like a Trump one as well, where
because it was him asking for Ave Maria.
It's just so hilarious because it's the sound of the trombone is so goofy and lame. And I'm sorry to all those real trombone players out there, but in this game it is, and it's what makes it so funny. Like I said, I feel like I'm Mr. Bean playing this game.
It's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
It's a good time. It's a very good time. My arms were getting tired.
They do. So they do. Because you're lifting up. Yeah, they do. But I don't know what muscles that will make better. To be honest, is it your bicep? Is it your tricep?
I'll ask my masseuse.
Yes, whatever's growing.
Samson, you're looking really sore in these new places. What have you been doing? Well, I've been playing a lot of Trombone Champ VR. Unflattened.
Yeah, exactly.
Or no, it's just Trombone Champ unflattened.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one.
I nailed it.
Nailed it.
Anyway, moving right along. I got into a little bit of Carve Snowboarding. So, tis the season. It's wintry. I played a little of that Walkabout. It got me wanting a wintry, snowboarding game. So I got into Carve Snowboarding, which I played a year or two ago or something like this. Yeah. I haven't unlocked much. I'm not that great, but I do feel like I have better control in this game than I do in real snowboarding, I assure you. And doing tricks is kind of just like moving your arm. Like you have to you press a button, I think, to grab the board, and then you just kind of move your arms in different directions to do tricks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good time. It's a good time if you're looking for a snowboarding game.
Yeah, I remember when this came out, I actually reviewed it on my Playtest VR channel, and I actually didn't love it. I thought it was when it came out, I thought the physics and thing, as far as I'm aware, I mean, gosh, it's been like 2-3 years. I feel like I really enjoyed like the physics of it, but I think my biggest criticism was that it just lacked a lot of content, and it felt like it just needed much more. Now, granted, I'm assuming it's been updated with more content now, but I don't know
that there's a lot of content, but it's got the freestyle mode, and it's got the race down as fast as you can mode. It's got things to find throughout each course in freestyle mode, like tapes, gloves, boards, things like this. And I wish I remembered how many courses there were, but I feel like I don't know exactly, so I'm not going to put a number to it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's what I remember, but like I said, that was like 2.5 years.
But honestly, oh God, I should look up how much it is too.
Yeah, it's $20, I think, or $20 Canadian at least. So it would be what, like $17-15 USD. So I think at that price, it's actually pretty good if you're in the mood of some snowboarding, you know.
Old mistake, Dan. I loaded it up not in incognito mode.
Yeah, I
Rookie
think
over
it's
here. Yeah, 1999.
1999. Okay, yeah, perfect.
All right. Yeah, I've never actually seen it on sale either, but maybe a sale price for you unless you really want to snowboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I'll leave it. Chess club, Dan. We've got a little LTO chess club round robin going on,
Nice.
and I got 2 of my matches with D-Max out of the way, and he beat me both of them. So back on the losing end of D-Max in chess. One of the games, Dan, they're 15 minutes each side, right? He had 16 seconds left when he beat me.
Oh my god!
If I could have just held on,
yeah,
for just a little bit longer. No, I collapsed like the friggin' Berlin Wall.
Oh dear! You just gotta get good. You know what? You know you're letting the side down here.
Yeah. I missed getting his queen with my pawn at one point. So,
and what, you had a chance to get his queen with your pawn?
Yep. I looked right past it. Yeah. It was too obvious. Looked right past it.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I can see you being, those type of situations never really happen. So I can see you being skeptical.
Yeah, exactly.
Too good to be true. So
that's what I'm saying. I didn't even look. It was too far. It was so far down on his end. I didn't even look there.
Yeah. So I understand.
Anyway, chess club. I've been playing mixed reality mode. It's a great time if you're into chess. If you don't like chess, you will hate this game.
Yeah, fair. I love chess club. It's fantastic.
I'm glad.
Like I said, mixed reality is wicked.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm just glad it has mixed reality now. It makes it 10 times better.
Yeah.
Galaxy Kart. I've been gotten into a few hours of this with my buddy Kai, and I love it with the wheel. It feels so good.
Yeah, I still got to play this.
The courses are very colorful. They drive well. They're not as like elaborate as a Mario Kart course, but I feel like they get the job done. Mm-hmm. There's shortcuts throughout them. There's a lot of speed boosts. When you hit the speed boost, you feel the speed, and big jumps feel so cool. So Galaxy Kart, if you're looking for, there could be like a couple more weapons, maybe something like this. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
A battle mode might be kind of cool, but there are a good amount of courses now, and
no, battle mode would work. I mean, Mario Kart battle mode is really fun with a bunch of people. So
I used to like it as a kid, but then as I grew older, everybody just hated it. They were like, "No, we're not. We're gonna race." I'm like,
yeah, fair enough.
What about the balloons?
I actually liked it more when I got older. To be honest, it was the opposite.
Wild.
Yeah, the opposite. I mean, I still prefer the racing, but for some reason
I just
enjoyed the mode.
I can't get anybody to do it with me.
Yeah, you need people because otherwise, so like playing it just against bots, it's just, no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's lame. That's not what Mario Kart's for. Anyway, moving right along. I got into a little bit of Metro. I did not beat it, and I got a little stuck, Dan. And so I took a little break. Took a little break from Labyrinth. No, not from Labyrinth. I'm stuck in Metro? A Labyrinth. Yeah, I'm... Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm somewhere in.
Do you know what chapter?
6.
Chapter 6. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
I did find where I am in Wolf and VR video, and his videos had about a little over 2 hours left after this part that I'm at.
Oh, okay. So you might be quite close to finishing it.
I'm about just over 2 hours from the end.
Potentially. I'm just saying, like, sometimes these people who have like gameplay,
they take longer.
2 hours. Yeah, I take longer. I say, they got 2 hours left. Okay, that's like 4 hours.
I gotcha.
So yeah, that might be a wee thing.
We'll see. I got to get through this labyrinth first. Got into a bunch of Smash Drums. Speaking of some mixed reality games, got into the Metal Pack a lot. It's fucking hard, Dan.
Yeah.
Pardon my French. Yeah. But a couple of those metal songs on where I play difficulty wise, just like in normally hard mode, I think.
They just become even harder.
Dan, I never missed so many. There's so many drums are coming at you so fast. It's
Yeah.
like a little. It's pretty metal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rock on. Have you got like a favorite song or anything like that?
Yeah, Ace of Spades, of course, because
No,
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair choice.
Ace of Spades, I can do. That's an easy, not easy, but I can
It
manage
is,
that one.
the tempo is not too bad. Yeah. I remember playing that in Supernatural, and it was fun. It's also a very quick song. It's not like it's over. Like I think it's like 2 minutes.
It is. It is shorter than the others. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there you have it, Smash Drums, and it does have multiplayer, I believe, but I've never done that. So somebody asked me that because I posted a video on the Instagram.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And then Dan, I got into some Tomb Raider in VR. And I don't know if you know this, but you can play the Tomb Raider,
like the originals.
You can play 1 through 3. They're still on sale for the rest of tonight. The sale is ended by the time this is airing, but you can still buy it, Dan. It's $15 for all 3, and you can play them in VR, and you can play them in mixed reality or first person, or I think third person. I didn't try that though.
Oh, okay.
But the mixed reality mode is kind of cool because a big thing with me in Tomb Raider, and probably anybody who's ever played Tomb Raider, is it's very easy to get lost and confused because there's no map. Because why would there be? You're the first person to explore this tomb.
Yeah.
No, plot wise, Dan.
You're
exploring a tomb and nobody's ever been there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just thought because PS1 they might not have the capacity to put
it has a compass. It has a compass, but what's that going to do you?
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, when you're playing mixed reality, it's kind of like you have the map in front of you and you can scale it up or down and move it around. But then you can automatically see where the map is, like where you have to go, kind of, because it shows you all the rendered things.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So I won't go so far. I won't go so far as to say it's cheating, but it did help.
It did help a lot. Yeah.
And like I could go walk ahead. Like physically walk ahead as the camera and see a sleeping wolf that I was about to run into.
Oh, so could you kill it before you even?
No, I couldn't kill it because you're still your character. But yeah.
Fair enough. Is that Team Beef port?
Yeah, it's Team Beef, and you can play it first person as well.
Nice.
But this mixed reality mode I found to be very cool and just such a cool idea. And then I updated every single Team Beef port I had just in case there had been updates, which are, so I'm going to go ahead and name them because if you're out there listening, if you buy these games on Steam or maybe Good Old Games or wherever you might buy them, you just see the game files. You can use the Team Beef, who is sort of a modder team, if you will. And, you can play these games on your Quest in VR.
Yeah. So
if you have side quests and you just type in Team Beef, you'll sort of pull them all up, if you will. But they're Doom 1 through 3, Quake 1 through 3, Return of Wolfenstein. I just wrote Wolfenstein, but I think it's Return. Prey from 2006. Which they're limited copies. You can no longer buy that on Steam, but you can find copies elsewhere.
Yeah,
which is what I did. Like legitimately buy the CD keys. Yeah. Duke Nukem 3D, and then Star Wars Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy. Nice. So if playing any of those games interests you in VR, pick them up on Steam. Go to SideQuest and type in their name and you'll find links and videos to how to install and all that jazz. They each sort of have a unique way.
I played Doom and Quake before. Quake
Doom
was a
1
bit
has made me sick.
Doom 1 made me sick too. Yeah, it's same with Quake, to be honest. I think because they're old games and they're really fast. The speed. Yeah, it's the speed. It's like the camera speed, and there's obviously no vignetting or anything like that. It's the same what happened when I played Myst.
So you mentioned the vignetting. I think there are a good amount of VR settings within these ports that I haven't necessarily done the due diligence on.
Right.
So maybe I'll do that for now. That'll be my homework.
Yeah.
I'll check out the Doom Team Beef port, vignetting situation and whatnot.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and that's all your games. That's all the games.
That's it, Dan. We did it.
That's it. We did it. All right, that will do for part 1. In part 2, we're going to quickly just go over the games out this week and any updates. And there's like one news story, and then we'll get straight into that interview with David and Edward. So we will see you in part 2.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part 2, where we're just going to quickly go over some games out this week and the news. Samson's only one news story that I just want to quickly mention. This week, Behemoth comes out, which is obviously the massive game, one of the biggest games. Definitely the biggest.
You might call it the Behemoth game.
Maybe Behemoth. Definitely like the game that a lot of people have been anticipating for a few years now, from Skydance. Interesting release notes here. So it'll be released as of when you're listening to this, actually. But for the PSVR 2 version, it will receive a day 1 patch, which is very common for games nowadays. But for the Quest version, it's going to receive a day 7 patch. So
pretty normal.
The patch that needs, is that pretty normal? Like 7 days, a week later, to have like their main patch to.
I mean, do you think that's the day 1 patch for him?
I think so. Yeah,
I imagine it just has to do with like meta protocols of. I believe that they don't let you patch a game like so close to release or like just after. So there's something like this from rumblings, I believe, that I've heard in the past, if I remember correctly.
Interesting.
I could be wrong on this.
Interesting. So just thing to note then, that's an interesting point then.
But yeah, you might want to wait a week, I guess, in theory.
You might want to wait a week.
Unless you're like me, who bought it on PlayStation, and I am still very excited, and none of this makes me that nervous.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the content creators only got it a couple of days before, so I'm sure they're going to play it a lot and put their review out for December 5th.
There's no way
they're not finishing.
People have first impressions, I believe.
Yeah, there's no way no one can finish this game in time, to be honest. But I'm curious. But then their first impressions might not be what the actual game will be like because of this day 7 patch, right? So if there's any reviews, I don't know what the reviews are yet, but like, right. Take them with a grain of salt, and then obviously next week once the patch comes out, then kind of assess it and go from there. So it's just a quick note. Samson, what do we have any game updates to talk about?
Game updates, Dan. Well, there's Arcade Paradise. VR will receive 2 new cabinets and a free update. Yeah, I'm trying to decipher it. I'm trying to read ahead. I'm trying to read ahead. This is about Arcade Paradise, right?
Yeah. So there's two.
So now let me read the blurb about it, which I almost read as a totally new game.
This is full Anchorman again.
Yeah, which includes rhythm game Cyber Drums, where you hit the matching symbols as they appear, while Super Woodgal Jr. Ultra X Hyper Deluxe involves swinging an axe to quickly chop through wood.
That seems like the most fun one, to be honest.
I gotta get in this.
Did you? You didn't play it at all?
No.
Oh yeah, because you went when I had the interview with Sam Clay. That was just me and him. So yeah, that's true. I think you'll thrive in this game. I think you'll freaking love it.
Yeah, I think it's right on my alley.
Yeah.
Dan, I do have one more, not necessarily an update, but just something I'd like to mention to get out there.
Go for it.
Because I think it's kind of interesting, and you'll have about a week after this airs to take part. So Max Mustard is hosting a speedrun competition. It's two speedruns, any percentage beat the final boss, and 100% beat the final boss and collect 90 mud bups. Then submit your score to Go to toastinteractive.com/speedrun for all terms and services and all that jazz. But you can win $250 for each category. So potentially $500 if you are really good and win both categories. And you just got to record your footage and submit it to them, basically. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And
are you going to partake?
Well, I saw that Live Open Mike said that he beat it in 3.5 hours. And then he tagged somebody who's a speedrun artist, if you will, in his Discord. And now that gentleman or gentlewoman, I'm not sure, they're taking it on. And now I think I'm afraid there's no chance.
Yeah.
But I should give it a try. It's just like finding the time of that big block of time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's a chunk.
And it's I mean, you have completed it before already, right? So
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I did it so long ago that I feel like I'd have to play through it again just to like relearn everything to be able to play faster. It fast.
Yeah, I
like
agree.
it'll take at least 2 to 3 tries probably to get what I think is an okay time to submit.
I agree. It's like playing the Walkabout courses on the race mode. Like, you kind of need to
except
play
those take 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't take 3 hours. But no, what I'm trying to say is that you kind of need to play it first just to get the feel of it again, and then you can kind of go for the race. But yes, yeah, they do take 5 minutes. Okay.
How fast do you think I could do all the courses?
All
30 of them?
30 of them? I don't know. I'd be curious, and just do them all and then total up your time. Or are we saying just like start the stopwatch? Let's go through each one, including like coming out of menus and going to the next one and such. I feel like that's the way to do it, because I feel like if you're counting up all your time, it would take, I don't know.
No, you just got to count up all the time. You got to screenshot each one and then count up all the time. I think
maybe we should do that.
Both would be really cool.
We should do that for our Christmas episode where we
simultaneous.
Where we rank the 2024 ones. Let's just also have a little challenge in there that we have to play every single 30, but do a race. It's just a race, and just add up your totals. That might be funny. It might be really funny. I like it too. All right, let's wrap this part 2 up with the games out this week. Samson.
That actually that gives me an idea for a future Walkabout tournament sort of spice up, is submit all your layer times, and then we add all those up so in theory you could not do so well on one and do better on another, etc.
Interesting. There's a lot of things you can do. With that. All right, Samson, games out this week. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start? What you feeling there?
Yeah, sure. I'll start.
Yeah.
Up first, we have Behemoth. Skydance's Behemoth is a sprawling, original story set in the Forsaken Lands, a destroyed kingdom besieged by a curse. Play as the lone hunter, Ren, and embark on a perilous quest to end the rot, curse running through your veins, and plague your village. The only cure is to slay unslayable gods, the towering behemoths.
Dun dun dun! I'm very excited to hear what you think of this game.
You could still buy a PlayStation VR for $350 and get in it.
I was planning to buy it day of release, to be honest. I was planning to pick this one up, but now with the update, I'm kind of unsure. I'm still going to do it. I'll do it for the pod. Moving on. Songbird, step into the spotlight and transform your living room into a vibrant stage with Songbird. Whether you're a seasoned performer or have fun with friends, this immersive singing experience delivers thrill of karaoke directly to your room and home. From the musical minds behind Guitar Hero, immerse yourself in a fantasy world that is the first ever karaoke game in VR. Songbird is the ultimate choice for music lovers and VR enthusiasts alike.
Bing bong boom.
I feel like with all these games now, if you can put custom songs, it's going to blow up. To be honest,
or it has the potential.
Or has the potential. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right there. It has the potential itself. I don't really know much about this game, to be honest.
Nor do I know much about our next game.
Do you go to the karaoke a lot in your hood? No. Hey, it's got songs from Billie Eilish, David Bowie, Paramore, ABBA, bit of Seal as well in there. So yeah, it's meant to help you learn to sing.
Big time.
So it has a bunch of different.
How do you think it judges your singing?
Pitch. It's probably going to be the same like SingStar on the PlayStation and such, where and Guitar Hero actually, because that eventually had a singing mode as well, where it kind of shoots your pitch. Basically, it's like Trombone Champ, but instead of doing it with the trombone, you're doing
a lot of things with your hand over there.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but not many people watch the video one, so we don't need to worry about it too much. All right, what else is going on? What's that last game?
What you need to do right now is if you're listening to the pod, pause, open up YouTube, go to where you are in this, and then go back about 15 seconds. All right, the next one is A Space Podyssey. You play Astra, a smart, sweet, and ambitious husky sent on a space exploration mission by the human-led organization called POSA. Astra is joined by a quirky team of companions. Spurd, a deranged goose that only communicates through honks and unsettling stares. Albert, the XV, a cynical and well-educated monkey that is also the team's weapon expert. And Luna, an adorable but slightly neurotic mouse, suffering from space allergies and a massive crush on the goose. Little love triangle.
Yeah, I can see that. This could be an X-rated game.
Yeah, a space Podyssey. No, I can't. I got nothing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I was like, where are you going here? This is a family show. I don't know if this game is going to be great, to be honest. Judging from the trailer, the actual models of the characters look really good, but everything else looks really ungood, shall we say?
Some might say bad.
Some might say bad. I try to be nice and say ungood.
Wow, the models do look really good.
Yeah,
the environments do not look good.
All the work has gone into the actual the dog, the goose, and what is it?
The characters.
Mouse? The characters, right? The monkey, sorry. But yeah, the rest of the game kind of looks classic, kind of Unity kind of project in there. So I'm not too sure. Even the title, Space Podyssey. The title itself is fine, but the graphics on the title on the trailer doesn't look great either. No, it just says coming soon, December 5th. So no price said right now. So yeah. That's our games out this week. Behemoth, Songbird, Space Podyssey. We also had, obviously, that Premier League player went into early access that we had the interview last week with Adam. That came out on December 3rd this week as well. Something else came out on December 3rd, which was pretty big as well, but I forgot. So it must not be that big, to be honest. But yeah, that's all our games this week. Samson, we're going to end this part now, and we're going to go back in time.
It's really the beginning.
For the podcast that we recorded in the future with David and Edward, where we discuss the fantastic 2024 for Mighty Coconut and obviously the new holiday updates that are coming in the game, the merch that they're about to sell, and also the iOS app updates as well that have come out soon. And Edward gets into a lot of 8-bit lair. In terms of the background of that, it seems to be his favorite passion project this year, outside of Wallace and Gromit, obviously, because that was spectacular.
It's just a great all-around interview.
Yeah, I loved every minute of it. So enjoy that. Enjoy that in part 3. And then obviously we will see you next week. All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus part 4. As you can see on the video feed, at least, we are joined by 2 special guests. So let's first introduce, well, we've had him on the show, but we've not had him in person more than anything. We've had him in Walkabout, but we've got Edward Felix here, who's the modeling lead at Mighty Coconut. Edward, welcome back to the show all the way from Australia, of course. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm here in the future. Let me tell you, the episode's come out. It's really successful. You're winning podcast awards because of my presence. I'm just really here to offer this upgrade for you, effectively.
The Edward boost.
Yeah. That's what happened last time as well. When we had you on it last time, the just kept shooting up all the ratings. So thank you for your service, Edward.
Anytime. And yet no one follows me on Twitter. I mean, you shouldn't anyway. Twitter, but no one follows me there. So
that's okay. We'll have your links below and maybe Blue Sky and such. I see that you're on there as well. But we're also joined for the first time ever, David Wyatt, who's the head of communications and business strategy at Mighty Coconut. David, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. So pleased to be here. It's a beautiful, balmy Sunday afternoon here in Austin, Texas, and I'm glad to be out of it and in here with you all.
Yeah, I think Samson, where we are you're obviously in Boston. I'm in Toronto, and it's not beautiful anymore. It's mighty chilly, but it kind of the chilliness is perfect for Christmas. I mean, for Edward, obviously, your holiday season is always sunny and nice, but I want to start off in saying, obviously, we're going to talk about Holiday Hideaway, the new course that's dropped, as well as a bunch of new features that are coming out on obviously the Pocket Edition and in Walkabout in general. But it's been a fantastic year for Walkabout. Like, you started off with the Around the World in 80 Days course back in mid-Jan, end of Jan now, which feels like ages ago, right? And now you end the year with a kind of a surprise launch of Holiday Hideaway. I think a lot of people were expecting nothing till potentially Elvis or such, in 2025.
I'm people.
Yeah, I think we actually said it a couple of podcasts ago. We were talking about the courses and yeah, that's probably it. That's probably it. But alas, we've got a Holiday Hideaway. But before we dive into the new course, I wanted to ask both of you, and perhaps maybe starting with David, how's the year been for you at Mighty Coconut?
I mean, it's been a blur. There's been so much packed in, not only just for Mighty Coconut and Walkabout Mini Golf, but just with the industry and everyone else's games they're putting out. So it's just been so much. So many things happening. And I think for us at Mighty Coconut, basically we started the year just a little better than 3 years along. And it was, we gotten the course cadence down, got our system down, and then we decided to screw it all up by basically redoing the whole underpinnings of the game so that we could start adding in all these other stuff. So we did Pocket Edition, which meant a whole lot of new architecture and design. We started adding other kind of side things like slingshots in there, and there's just so much else going on under the hood. So it's been kind of a crazy time, but it's been fulfilling, and we feel very grateful.
Nice. Under the hood and under the cabin.
Oh, yes, yes.
The welcome shed.
That's always been there. I don't know why people only just started talking about it now.
Yeah, and it really is just for employees. People should not be down there nosing around. So if you are, you're in the wrong place.
Exactly.
Very well.
It is interesting. This year I feel like we've had, these grand ideas, these grand plans, and this is the year where they start sort of turning up in the public. Mm-hmm. So obviously I'm still sort of just obsessing about courses. I still can't believe we did Wallace and Gromit. It was just lifelong dream. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And I'm so proud of it. But there's also things like David says, finally finished sort of recoding the sort of underside of the game. So now we can start putting more stuff in, and more of our weird plans are starting to leak through. And I think people are now getting more of an idea that we're going, okay, well, by making our courses, because everyone's been so wonderful and supporting, and, everyone's been so, really on board with everything we're doing, it gives us more space to do more weird things and expand and grow and just put out more stuff for people to play with, which it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I keep thinking about the next 12 months as well. I'm like, there's so much more stuff coming.
I do feel like even when there's a course that you might not resonate with you, like everybody who is in the Walkabout community understands the cadence. Every 6 weeks or so, you're like, all right, we're either getting a course soon or we have a course here. And so if this one's not for me, maybe the next one will, or hopefully the one after that will. And eventually, I assure you, you're going to get a Walkabout course for you.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's been exactly our sort of hope and strategy, is that we actually say, like, if 100% of people love it, we're actually kind of going two down the middle. So we need to take some swings and take some risks. But it's funny because, this time last year, we were putting out Meow Wolf, and we were so like, it's so weird, and a lot of people don't know what Meow Wolf is. This one may not go over to everybody, and almost universally, people are like, "Woohoo! Psychedelic mini golf!" And then around the world in 8 days, we were like, "This is just charming AF." Everyone's gonna love it. We're so convinced of it. Controversy, because they'd waited so long and built up all these expectations about what it was going to be. They took a lot of issues with, like, locations in the book and that weren't in the course and all that sort of thing. So I think in that time we've learned, like, don't get too attached to expectations, but also I think there's that sort of trust fall that happens with each other, with our players, where like you're pointing out there, Samson, the people are sort of like, well, more is better. And the next one may be exactly my thing. This one maybe not be my thing exactly. So that's kind of working out in the long run for players and for us. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and Samson, you really sort of hit the nail on the head there. Our players have such grace for us. They really sort of hold a space where they let us be a bit weird, because sometimes the course comes out and someone just won't enjoy it, but they don't go, Mighty Coconut's losing their edge, or all these things. They just go, oh well, this one's not for me. I reckon the future one. It's so kind to effectively someone who has just paid money for a product that they don't particularly enjoy, to go, oh, I can see what they're going for and it's not for me, but I still like and support what they do. It's ridiculous how kind the player base is. We're so freaking lucky that everyone is just so lovely to us. It's really, and it's something we take very, very, very seriously. The last thing we want to do is, abuse the trust or, nickel and dime people. There is an awful lot of discussions behind the scenes about going, okay, well, what can we do, in terms of, I know they're sort of like going, okay, well, the company's paying for itself via the course. Excellent. Now we've got our spare space. What can we put in that's like for free? Because there's no going, oh, well, we can put in this new game mode, but it'll cost $20 and all that thing. It's just like, oh, we can just put that in. We'll just go in. Fantastic. It's.
You mentioned the nickel and diming. I want to point out to any of the listeners out there who might not know, though if you've been listening to our podcast, you probably do know this, that if just one person has a DLC course, you can guest mode play it, and so you don't have to buy every course. So let's say a new course comes out and you happen to know somebody who buys it and you're not sure if you want to buy it, then you can almost get a chance to trial it. You do have to perhaps get out there and or know someone who does own it, but the opportunity is out there if you so.
It's a very consumer friendly move, because you don't want to ruffle the feathers too much and just put loads and loads and loads of charges in there for more in-game content, but you've got like a good balance in there. And I know, obviously, I think it was I'm not sure if it was this year or the last year, but you did have that slight increase in the prices for the courses, but you only just upped it by what? I think it was $1, was it, or something like that? Yeah, and even then, you're like, some of us diehards are like, oh, they could have paid more, but then you've still struck that balance of like, what is consumer friendly? Like, what would obviously help you, obviously, to sustain the business, but also what can you do that's consumer friendly? And then you've stuff like Guest Pass to have people at least be able to try the courses or still play with their friends and not being felt like they're just behind a paywall is a really consumer friendly move. And I think that's why a lot of people are nice when it comes to, like, if a course comes out, like if you think about one of the courses that came out this year, let's say Ice Lair, which is very much like mechanic heavy. Some people might not like that, but then they are like, okay, no worries. The next one is Venice, and the next one is Venice, which is like a classic walkabout course, which doesn't have too many like gimmicks, and that might be for another player. And I think just because of your business model and consumer first focus model that you have, I think that's why you get that friendliness that you're talking about, Edward. So, you don't need to worry too much.
Guys. And you guys obviously refers to not just everyone in the room, but every single player, because everyone's so lovely.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, you guys.
It's true. Well, I think also because Lucas chose mini golf 4 years ago, there's sort of a certain vibe about mini golf. It's, you go to your local crazy golf, mini golf, adventure golf place, and it's like somewhat affordable. It's mom and pop owned. There's a lot of kind of people helping each other out, or just there's a lot of leeway. It's not too sporty. It's not too polished. Even with the new wave of sort of mini golf businesses coming in, mini golf is supposed to be a charming, easy, low barrier to entry sort of thing. And so I think that's kind of our box. For one, there are a lot of people who take our mini golf a lot more serious than actual mini golf. Like, so they get like the ice mechanic throws a lot of people. But I think for the most part, we sort of like, what would be the right thing to do for mini golf? And then, as Edward has alluded to, we really look to our players, and we intently pay attention to price sensitivity and how they behave and sort of share the game with each other, and how because we don't do marketing. We take care of the players. Mm-hmm. They take care of the marketing, really. And so we try to say, well, what's going to help them have more people to play with and enjoy more? Because that's going to create retention, and they're going to tell more people about the game and grow the game. So like Guest Pass was sort of an easy no-brainer thing to do. And then everything after that was sort of like, what would be the most kind of like benevolent and like player-centric way to come at this? And that we don't get it right every time, but we try to at least open up and talk about our reasoning behind things. And it definitely creates a lot of internal debate. Like, we've got a lot of lively discussions about like, what's the right way to come at this, friendly disagreements, but we really do debate things intently to make sure we get things as right as we can as we sort of swiftly move along.
I just wanted to mention something, David, that you just said there, where you don't really market the game. I don't listen to too many like VR or gaming podcasts in general, but the odd ones that I do listen to, and they all of a sudden bring up VR, Walkabout's always mentioned. Like, always mentioned. They always mention Half-Life Alyx and Walkabout. And it's amazing to hear that those two are in like the same ballpark for non-VR players as well, who have maybe just dabbled or just know about VR. That's always up there. So it's a kudos to the team and the community that you've kind of built here, because you're not doing marketing at all, and look how far this platform's going, right?
Yeah, and Alex, you can't even putt, so really, I don't think they deserve to be in the same level as us. Our game, you can putt. Half-Life Alyx can't putt. There we go. Those are the only things that matters in VR.
We should do a feature comparison. It's really true. Well, I mean, and I will sort of say like an asterisk there with like, for me, marketing is like paid advertising to like target people and convert them down a sales funnel. And it's like, we don't do that. We definitely do PR. We work with content creators. We do try to like pop, and we do a lot of social media when people mention VR and mini golf and Walkabout. We try to pop up and kind of be friendly. But yeah, we just sort of feel like, especially before the phone version came out, people that had a headset would sort of learn about us, and they would learn about it from their friends or give it a go. It's a really comfortable sounding game and looking game. So I think a lot of non-gamers or first-time VR people, they kind of find their way to it. And we also feel like we can't advertise our way into getting people to buy a headset and then buy our game and then buy DLC. So it's sort of like, well, let's just focus on storytelling. And that's the other wonderful thing. What we primarily do is our players use the game in so many fun and fabulous ways. I mean, they get together with mates, they reconnect with parents, long distance relationships, business meetings happen in there. And people are lovely about just every week emailing us, DMing us like, I'm able to play the game this way, or this game has got me back on my feet, or whatever. And so we just sort of reward those, tell those stories. And that inspires I think players should tell more, but also it it sort of signals to the player community, like, if you're good at mini golf, that's nice, but that's not what being, doesn't lead to being the most important person in the community. If you want to be a prominent member in the community, be nice, help each other out, teach someone something, host a game, invite someone to something. If you're good at mini golf, again, great, that's good. But I think there's only like 50 people who really fall into that like ultra category. But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of lovely people who just want to help each other and are friendly and kind. So we try to kind of lean into that aspect because we feel like more people can see themselves in it. And our whole goal is when brand new players come in, maybe they've sheepishly bought a VR headset or something like that. We want them to come in and be like, oh yeah, I can do this. This is understandable, and I can get my arms around this, and not like I'm not great, so therefore I don't matter here, or I'm going to be intimidated. It's just like, oh, come on in, play some mini golf, have a chuckle. That's kind of the spirit that we try to approach things in.
Yeah, and not like you just mentioned that not only do you have these new courses that came out and such, but this year you also finally put out the Pocket Edition, which is the mobile app for, people listening to the show know exactly what that is. It's now been, I think, just over a month since the public release, at least when we've been recording this as well. Some of you may not know that this is kind of what the original idea of Walkabout was, right? It was to have the mobile app, but it kind of went to VR direction first. But now that it's been put out, what's the reception been like so far?
Yeah. So quick backstory. Basically, one of our previous games, Laser Mazer, we made our own engine for it. And it was called the Walkabout engine. And so then when Lucas decided to make a mini golf game, he's like, I'll just call it Walkabout Mini Golf. That's fine.
That's crazy.
And so that was kind of the origins of it. And he made it as a phone version first and demoed it at a few indie conferences. And someone from Oculus at the time saw it, was like, that would actually work great in VR. So he sort of tried it, set aside the phone version, and then, VR mini golf got out of control. So a little over maybe a year and a half ago, we were like, all right, we really need to get back to the phone version. People want to play with their loved ones, and not everyone has a headset, or maybe they're traveling or at work, don't have their headset. So we set about, really rebuilding this thing with the idea that in order for people to share it and have that same sort of experience, it was going to have to ultimately emerge into the same game. We didn't want to make like a Minecraft situation where it's like, this Minecraft doesn't talk to that Minecraft.
Split players.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to split people up, because the whole point of doing it was so that people could do that together and point to stuff and be like, look behind that palm tree. There's a lost ball, right? If it's not the same for everybody, then it loses its appeal. And so it was a really kind of a really small team within our team, 4 to 5 people that devoted months and months and months of their lives to it. And I sort of say it was like riding the teacup ride and trying to build a ship in a bottle while doing so. Like, they were very, very delicate and fast moving scenario. But we're now, as of what will now be yesterday's releases, by the time this comes out, we're going to have day one DLC release. It's the exact 1-to-1 game. And the reception has been wonderful. We put it out, and it immediately, within like 12 hours, jumped to the top 10 of paid games and #1 sports game, which was just lovely. Again, we didn't do any big ad campaigns or sort of we let our players know it was coming, but we didn't do a whole lot of outreach beyond VR.
I feel
our players.
Gosh, I'd love to know the stats on how many people who owned Walkabout on another platform also bought the iOS version. 1 for 1 here.
Yeah, that seems to be that was the initial push, as we saw people that were kind of buying it in addition to VR. Just kind of anecdotally, there was indications for sure that there was people that were just like there for the license courses, because like in the UK, it jumped up to number 7. Wallace and Gromit was like the #1 DLC there. So it's like, those are people who were like, finally, I can get in. And, Meow Wolf was within the top 5. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that like had been kind of jumping up and down in the wings waiting for that moment. But we think definitely with the holidays, what we've been hoping and encouraging people to do is when you go for the holidays, whether you take your headset or not, that's what Pocket Edition is for. So you can show someone, show family. And you don't have to cast to a TV necessarily. You can put your headset on them and play on your phone, or everyone can take their phone or iPhone out and you can be on your headset and just have a good time, show them what it's all about, and with a device that they already own is kind of the whole point.
Yeah, and now you've obviously got 8-bit layer coming out on the platform as well. Edward, what's the process of like bringing a map into the Pocket Edition? Like, is there any major issues that you have to address, or is it as simple as like importing the new map and away you go now that you've got the foundation built?
So with Pocket Edition and with the Quest version and PC version and PlayStation version and Pico version and soon the baked potato version and the chessboard, like every platform we've ever released on, they're all in the same game file effectively. So we've just got one ridiculously big file, as it were, and everything comes out of that. And that's sort of what David was talking about, going, we don't want to make a separate game. And, it's not, one-to-one and it's its own thing, and it'd be a lot easier to make it, but then it wouldn't be Walkabout. It'd be like Mini Bout or Walker Mini Golf. I don't know. It's too small. And so when we're making a level, it's the same level for everything. But a lot of what we do, and part of the reason we can do a level every 6 weeks, despite like a level takes over a year, it is in process. It just sort of passes from one team to another. But part of the reason we can do one, every 6 to 8 weeks, or, whatever the cadence happens to be, is because we know exactly what needs to happen to make it run. And so Pocket Edition is a little bit weirder because some of the rules that work in VR don't work in mobile, and there'll be some bit where you look at it in VR and we go, oh, we've really tweaked performance, it's functional, and, these gameplay mechanics are really perfect. But, especially in case of 8-bit layer, which is really new mechanics, it's really weird, it's full of so much stuff. Like, I'd love just a minute to talk about 8-bit in a second. But, so there's a lot of stuff we go, oh, fantastic. Well, it directly translates, but does that mean you can actually play it? Is it accessible? And so sometimes we're now really trying to make sure they come out at the same time. But in the case of, say, 8-bit, all the time was trying to get it out. And it's just like, oh, it really just needs a couple more weeks to come out for Pocket Edition, because, you can release a delayed game is delayed once, a bad game is bad forever, sort of thing. So we're hopefully, getting rid of that. But it'll be things like, one of the incredible things we did in 8-bit is that in the arcade cabinets are playable, which
on
is
the Pocket. That's crazy.
Well, just in general, the level itself. And so it was well, how does that work for Pocket Edition? Do we turn it off because it simply cannot be functional, or do we make a thing where it detects whether you're on your phone, you got to tap it and it sort of lines up the screen, because that's a custom thing that has to detect if you're on the phone? Or, how do you transition into the Digiverse? That's a very particular effect that's designed for VR. It's all these little things that, when we put it in, it won't change the gameplay. It should feel like we've done nothing at all. But technically, it just needs some extra stuff to make it mobile phone happy.
Yeah, that's
makes sense.
And yeah, the arcade modes in there's a few games in there, right, in 8-bit layer that actually work, and they're in a way they're like your simple games. You're not playing like Mortal Kombat in there or anything like that, but it's still so cool that you could just go in and then there's interactability, because there's not actually. And many of those this is your 30th course now with Holiday Hideaway. There's a lot of courses going on, but most of those courses don't have too much interactability where you can actually click things and such, where this game does. It kind of works as intended, and it is really cool. And Edward, was that that was a passion project for you to like look at that and try and get the arcades working to make sure that that's in the game?
Legitimately, yes. We have this chap on the team called Jeff, who is just a delight. And it's one of those things that none of us really have super defined, job titles, because everyone sort of bleeds into each other and everyone's always trying to give each other a hand, and we're all trying to talk and be sort of more chummy, instead of going, no, this is mine, don't touch it.
I'm the ball guy.
Exactly. Oh, to be fair, no one else gets to design ball. They will take that to my cold dead hands. Sometimes I'm really slow with getting to it, and it holds up everyone, and I'm still not letting anyone else do it because I'm that much of a monster. But everyone else is very nice. So this chap, Jeff, I feel like his job is come up with weird and wonderful things to put in, experiment when no one else has the time to, and get stuff into the game. And so he went, okay, well, just for a bit of context, any sort of computing device, there's sort of like a CPU and GPU. One handles the sort of general processing, one handles the graphics, and they do different types of math, and they do it at different speeds and basic stuff. And so he went, I don't think if I want to put a game in, that's a lot of sort of extra CPU to run another game in it, and I'm not sure if we have the overhead. So he made them run in material logic, which is there's a bit of code that says, okay, well, this surface is this much reflecty and it's this much shiny. And sometimes you can do effects, be like, it pulses from green to blue. There's some code that tells it to do that. And so that code is a completely different sort of logic to general game code because it's doing a different thing and there's a different like type of computer processing it. And he sat down and he made the games in shader logic. Like he wrote down in material code, which is mind-boggling. Because technically there is some, you can be like, if someone's from this angle, we want it to look this sort of color. And there are, you can, and so he just really pushed it to an absolute extreme. See, like, I reckon we've got some overhead here that we can use that isn't being used for other things. And so he just did it. And he just went away and he's like, guys, I've got like 5 games that run in material logic. Here you go. And
That's
sort of
crazy.
Everyone who sort of was just sort of running around screaming like everything they're fine, going, oh my God. And so then, of course, there is still like lots of different overheads. I was really fiddly to try and fit it in. We weren't sure if it was going to make it to like the last possible moments. We weren't talking about it at all. And it made it in. And I'm just sort of sitting here that everyone's like, it's a really beautiful level. The Digiverse. And I'm like, don't look at the Digiverse. Look at these arcade cabinets. They function. And I still can't believe we did it.
Most impressive.
It's impressive.
So, I know we're here to talk about the new course, and we will get into that just a little bit. But for the diehards out there, we want to talk about one of the new features, the ball sorting tray at the Welcome Island Shack. And so, David, you must have heard this request for quite some time now. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, so basically, like since day one, there was just a big kind of tray that balls came down a bamboo chute and landed in a big just mess, basically. And whatever lost balls you found would sort of be there. And we've slowly, as people have collected more and more balls obsessively, we've increased the size of that. The shack has become longer to accommodate all the putters. But in like we've known for a year that at some point that's going to, run aground. And so we've been working on a system. We had a bunch of different internal kind of prototypes and ideas for it. But we wanted to keep a little bit of that balance of the kind of dopamine hit of hearing the balls come down the chute and all jumbled together. And we didn't want it to lose that kind of just the dopey charm of like a bamboo, kind of the Gilligan's Island bamboo invention sort of thing. So basically, we've come up with this. They made it like the team made it way more intricate than it needed to be. I mean, which is great. Like you can see the working half bamboo chute parts and the little hinges, and it drops down. But there's basically now a sorting kind of column for every single course, as well as a most frequently used section. You can sort of flip through those different ones. But we've had great fun, antagonizing our players because they'll screenshot their ball tray and be like, "I'm out of room," and we'll just like circle the like 10 ball spot and send it back to them and be like, no, you still have room, or things of that nature, knowing that eventually, and like, they're like going up the chute and people can't even like get to their balls. So we're kind of, it isn't designed to wait until maximum like crescendo, but basically it's going to come out.
They've definitely doubled up.
Yeah. I think, for those people that have every single ball, it was just in the nick of time. But it's sort of like, it's been on the list. Everything is on the list, but the list is very, very long. But this is something that that kind of a quality of life piece that we've wanted to bring for quite some time. We're happy to bring it just in the nick of time for Christmas.
Well, there's 540 balls in the game. I just did the quick math right there. So that's 540 balls. So
plus the extra like 9 that you start with.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. So even more. So thank you
And-
for adding this
And
right
there's
now.
well, I mean, I just the other day, because obviously I'm working far in the future, and sometimes, things the balls get designed, and they don't all go into the level at the same time, and I just have some spares that I can pick and choose from. I just designed my 700th ball like
Wow.
2 days ago, and so there's more to come.
That's crazy.
But
I guess
it's really funny, David talking about sort of the fun back and forth with the players. We were having that internally as well for ages. It's been like, oh, it's going to be a problem, but when does it get sort of the headroom to fix it? And Lucas, runs everything, and he's sort of the guiding beacon, and he's really hands-on, and that is 100% a compliment. And he's really been thinking about it for a while and going, okay, well, how am I going to do this sort of thing? And every now and then one of us would just screenshot and go, it's getting more full, and just post it. And you can just see like Lucas, like the eye twitching more and more and more as we're just sort of all antagonizing him, going, it's getting worse. We'll have to deal with it eventually. And so, yeah, I can 100% recommend bullying your boss as a way of getting stuff done. Just a cyberbullying inside a lovely company is a great way to get things achieved.
Not condoned by the LTO podcast.
No, but the Mighty Coconut for
I
sure.
will say that this is sort of like one of the double-edged swords of, or kind of the main double-edged sword of being a coconut, is that we're very mediocre at the golf, but we have the same like exuberant sort of ideas and imagination that all of our players do. We share that completely, and so the trick is like we know who it is, and we can DM them, and so we're constantly. I think Edward and I are cut from the same cloth here, where we're sort of like. But the thing, because any idea that comes across, like someone does a drawing or a sketch or a whole, we're like, you would be great. Oh, you got to do the thing. And so you have to kind of learn to like which one of your 20 ideas to actually bring forth, which ones to tug sleeves about. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the great thing is that we, when you see, features like this come out, it's because we've like been giddily excited about it as well. We've been tugging sleeves. We've been kind of browbeating each other about it. Like we have the same sort of eager anticipation that our players do. We want to get it to them and make sure that their needs are sort of met. But yeah, and really like anytime we kind of overdo it on a course, it's because we've just gotten so excited or gotten carried away with an idea, run off in a direction because it pleases us to like, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be so great if we did this thing that like only 1% of the people actually find, but when they find it, it's gonna be hilarious, So we just get caught up in that same sort of giddy excitement the way the players do.
So take you 540 balls to have the the ball sorting. There's currently 32 putters in there, so we still got quite a few putters to go before putter sorting becomes a thing too.
Yeah, 540 is the number.
It's the
540
number.
putters will have a way of organizing. Until then, we'll just keep extending the island, and you'll just have to walk further and further until you can.
I'm picturing like an old CD changer thing that like sort of cycles, like pops up and
It's funny because I'm thinking of like a bamboo shoot that just launches them all onto the ground and says, pick them up.
Just shoots putters at you. Speaking of putters, though, just a real, this is a hard question, but I just wanted to just know, and probably the audience wants to know too. For both of you, this is a question, whoever's first, go ahead. But do either of you have like a favorite putter that you like to use in the game? Not like maybe obviously, if you're looking at the putters, they would be hard to choose which child you like the most. But in terms of just a putter that you use the most, like, do you have one of those?
Oh God, I was really ready to go first, and I heard that it was me and David fighting for attention, and now I have no idea. So,
So what comes to your head?
So here's a fun story about the 8-bit putter and why it's my favorite. So when the game first came out, we didn't have putters. We had the ball, but we didn't have the fox hunts and the putters. You went into hard mode and it was slightly harder, and that was it. And it was one of those ideas very early on that we knew we wanted to do something with. And so when we first made the putters, original Gothic had come out. So the 5th course, the first one released after the game had come out, and we weren't charging for DLC yet because it was part of the base game, just a bit delayed effectively.
Mhm.
And between the original Gothic and the next one, I was working on the putters. And these days, we have Zach, our incredible concept artist, and he does all these concepts and we all give feedback, and then I make it, and then I play around with it, and then we tune it a bit more. And then if there's, IP, we talk. It was a really, really long, drawn-out process. For the first couple, it was very much like there's 3 of us in a digital room, and Lucas goes, "We want some putters. Go." And it was the original idea of the putter for Arizona Modern. The 8-bit putter was made for Arizona Modern because Lucas went, "Yeah, it should be modern art." And I went, "Oh, that's vague. Fantastic."
Yeah.
And so I came up with something like, "Oh, it's got to be like boxes and colors and like black edges, but then weird and curvy." And it was my interpretation of what I thought modern art was in a putter. And I go, "Lucas, please, here, have this putter." And he looks at it and goes, "This is beautiful. This is wonderful. I love it in every way. It does not at all fit the course. So no." And he said, "Put it to the side, put it on ice because it's beautiful." But, and he drew some sketches, and it ended up being a very close. So we did, that's what the Arizona Modern putter was. And it is a much more closer interpretation of what I would consider modern art putter. I think it's really fun. But we've just had it, and it was in the game, and people couldn't use it. So I played with it for the last 4 years,
I was going to say,
"Oh, what's that putter?" And I'm going, "It's mine."
I think when we had you on, you were playing with it in the interview we met in Walkabout, and when I unlocked it, a few weeks ago, or when this was airing about a month ago, I was like, I think this was the putter that Edward uses all the time.
It was really funny because we were going to do concept art for 8-bit, and I went, "No, we're going to use this putter." And I think Lucas went, "Okay, but maybe we should make some alterations." I go, "No, Lucas, I respect you. I love you. You're a wonderful person. No, it's my baby. It's going." And so that's my favorite. And because it is an antique, this putter has been with us since legitimately the beginning of putters, and it's finally made it into the game.
So for me, I use the Shangri-La putter, and I think it's because I'm a creature of nostalgia. So I joined 3 years ago. So Gardens of Babylon had just come out. We were just getting going on Shangri-La, and so it was kind of right when I joined the first fox hunt I did. So it may have been actually the first one I unlocked, but I just always return to it. For me, it's just sort of I don't know. And also I think that's the first one that gave me the feels, at night when there's the lanterns rising in the sky. It was just sort of like yeah, it was really, really wonderful. And so it was for me like I came from not from a gaming background, and so it was like it's when I really understood what the places of Walkabout really meant, So for me, it's kind of symbolic, and so I always go back to that putter and use it most of the time.
For the listeners, could you describe the putter?
Yeah, it would be, I guess, a wooden putter with these. It sort of has these the prayer wheels. That's the word I was looking for. They're kind of these little discs and these kind of cube bits. So it's sort of like hand carved by Tibetan monks. Or Edward.
I feel like I know we're here to talk about Holiday Hideaway and such, and we will get to that. But Edward, I just remembered when you spoke about the 8-bit layer one right there. We got to spend a couple minutes talking about the retro 8-bit retro Walkabout rather that you put playable in Arcade Legend and on the browser itself. Just tell us a bit about that. Like, where did that come from? Like, you made this fun little arcade version of the game.
So, ages and ages ago, I was just thinking, we should do some April Fool's jokes. We should announce really stupid things as a company on April 1st because, it's definitely tired and no one likes that as a thing anymore. And I'm like, fantastic, it's the perfect time for me to get involved. And, I'm thinking, every time you putt a ball over the edge and you lose it, you have to pay for a new one. Like really horrible things you'd never implement, but announce as just. And then I thought, because we were working really hard on, the phone version, I thought, okay, well, what's another medium we haven't covered yet? And I went, and I was Googling, like, what's the best-selling, computer of all time? And it was the Commodore 64. It's because these days, every computer has a billion variations. Apple releases a new MacBook, but because every single one has like different RAM or different, none of them were, and then they replaced a year later. So the Commodore 64 sold for like a decade, and it's this one thing, and it is still to this day the best-selling computer of all time. And I thought, wouldn't it be hilarious to announce that, we really were hedging our bets. We're getting rid of VR and everything and just coming out in the Commodore 64. And I thought, well, what would make that really good would be if there's a little playable version. So, I got out all my books on assembly and, coding in BASIC, and I was bashing away trying to make one that was playable on the Commodore 64. And after a couple months of that, on my weekends, I thought, well, this sucks and I hate it. And we're not getting anywhere. So instead, I just opened up Unity and was like, well, I know it can only render this many colors, and, because I've got this many colors and a thing, the pixels have to be double one. Yeah. And so I recreated it in Unity. But because I didn't have to code it in assembly, I did it in like a weekend. It was so much faster. We live in blessed times as game developers. And I went, everyone, look, I've made a Commodore 64 version. And I think I was like, David, this is my idea. And everyone goes, it's brilliant. But do we want to waste it on April Fools? And so there was this big discussion of like, we just sort of sat on it going, what are we going to use it for? What are we going to use it for? And, David's incredible ability is just talking to people and, getting ideas and getting everyone to come together. So, of course, he organizes it with Arcade Legends. And then he's like, for 8-bit, we'll have it. And it was just, so it was very much thanks to David that we got this in sort of where it got to live in all these different spaces. And so I'm pretty so dang happy.
It's so fun. It's so great. It was you did it perfect timing, obviously, with 8-bit layer, like you mentioned. Like it's just such a fun like little one-off of just let's celebrate the game and let's do it a different way as well. I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but like I'm assuming that it was just a one-off, even though the other courses say coming soon. There's not going to be more.
I was going to make them, and then. Because 8-bit was so busy with us all sort of running around with, our heads on fire going, look at all these things. And I'm not sure if they will ever actually end up coming out. It's very much if I find a weekend to do this project that people are no longer interested in.
You got to just
because the fun bit.
Early access title.
Yeah. That's a good
they're early access.
That's a good idea. Quietly with no hubbub and just an update shows up. It's a really good idea. We should totally drop a course that way. Just on the 64-bit version.
Yeah, I also wanted to just quickly chat about, because we have you right here, and this has been one of the biggest things that came out this year, was that you've had new game modes. Like not only can you play stroke play, you can now do match play, which is a great thing, but then also you can now race and play simultaneous, which is absolute chaos when you have a full group in there. Such like kind of like, I don't know what the feedback was like, if people were wanting like more modes, but we certainly like never had that on our like Walkabout bucket list this year, that there was going to be a race mode. And a race mode especially, I mean, Samson, I feel like I could speak both of us here, like race mode is the one that's so much fun that's come out of it. We've had a good time, and we do like a bit of a Walkabout tournament every week in the podcast and in the Discord chat, and now we've incorporated race mode as one of the like tournament things that we do. Do you guys have like internally at Mighty Coconut have like leaderboards or anything like that you would have internally at all?
I don't think we keep a careful track, but then there are some of us like not to throw us under the bus, but me and Emma, we're both really sort of old in terms of Walkabout, in that we're both very, very early on the team. And after years of, playing it multiple times a week, both for fun and for testing, we're both still horrible. So I don't know if we don't keep actual leaderboards, but I know I'm sitting at the bottom of them.
Looking up.
That's fair enough. Where these modes like come? Were they from feedback, or is that just something that came internally as like what you wanted to add into the game?
So I would say, the contingent of the players that are competitive definitely wanted match play. They wanted simultaneous play for larger groups to go together. And then I think as we started contending with those, as we were rewriting the underpinnings of the game, we thought, well, as long as we're doing a few, we should create a system where we can do just about anything. Mm-hmm. And so, when Mars Gardens came out, we added a low gravity mode. And we were like, that would also be great on Atlantis and Tethys. We added those there. And I think now what we're getting to is a place where we're cooking up. We got more modes in the works that are coming coming soon to a device near you. But also it's like the combinations, because now we're like, what if you had low gravity mode and race mode and multi-ball on Upside Down? You know, like how chaotic and horrible and wonderful would that be? And so I think that's the idea, is that we kind of have like a bucket of modes and combinations of things that we can put in together and kind of reignite a course or create a buzzy event or sort of moment, but do it in a way that is in keeping with, you know, people that do take their, you know, achievements and their scores really seriously. So it's like, okay, well, what if low gravity mode, as an example, makes a shot possible that was never possible before? We don't want that to actually go on your
main record.
Your main record, because then people will be like, I got an impossible shot on this, and there's a big caveat. How do you signal it? So yeah, it's been sort of an ongoing conversation for sure. And, you know, we're definitely seeing like race mode, very popular. Match play is actually very, very popular as well. So we're tracking those to see kind of what people like, but it's not all, you know, we're very not data driven, analytics driven. It's sort of what's fun, you know, what makes us chuckle. And sometimes the return is like, people got on and Stuart laughed a bunch. That's worthwhile, or we enjoy doing it. So I think our mode since the beginning, and kind of Lucas's whole style, is let's put something out there and just see what happens. Like, let's put a beach ball and not explain it, and just sort of see what they do, see what the players do with that thing, and then we'll build on that based on, you know, kind of their behavior and feedback. So that's how we've approached modes so far, but it's already getting people excited for sure.
So and there's something David talked about earlier was rewriting the base version of the game, because, you know, in the base version of the game was Lucas went, I've got this idea, and sort of bashed it out, and it was very much, it was designed for this one thing, and then we were adding on more courses, so we're sort of, you know, stapling a bit onto the side, and so to do anything really big and interesting, we'd effectively have to make Walkabout 2. Which none of us really wanted to do, because then it splits the player base and there's really no benefit to, and no one really wins there, except we get to sell a second game, which I don't think is real. We're not really sort of here for that sort of thing. So what we had to do instead was replace the main code designed to make it more expandable, which, okay, that's a big task if it is, except the game, you know, as I said before, there's sort of one version of the game and it's still running, and we're adding new features and we're adding new courses, and it's live. So whatever is there gets sort of pushed out every couple of weeks. And so it's like, okay, how do you replace an entire game's worth of code while it still runs, while you add new stuff, while still being multiple? And it was I hope every programmer listening is like scared and awed effectively. Because for the non-programmers, it's like doing surgery, where you had to find each area, carefully cut it out, and put a new thing in while, you know, racing a car. You know, sort of, it's the most ridiculous way of doing it, but it was the only way to do it that worked for everyone. So, because, you know, so much of the game was just like the core logic just went, okay, you do a hole, and then you go to do the next hole, and you do this many holes, and then the level's done. It's like, cool, well, we want to have simultaneous mode. And it's like, we can't do that. Or race mode, can't do that. It's impossible. And so we've had, you know, those ones we really wanted to get out first, because it really was like, once we do these, anything's possible. We have had other game modes that we've had bubbling internally, either in code or just in thoughts. I'm sorry. For a couple of years, I think, like 4 years ago, like a week after I joined, Lucas goes, look at this thing. And it was stupid and fun and marvelous, and it hasn't come out yet, and I'm not going to say what it is, but there are some which we've just been sitting on, being like, the time is almost right. 4 years of waiting for this.
Damn,
well, it's actually a really good. I don't know if you have other questions. I don't want to usurp or hurry, because I've got time. But it's a really good segue into Holiday Hideaway, because you know, people have been requesting like a Christmassy course since the very beginning, since we started doing you know, more DLC. And I think you know, when Widow's Walkabout came out, especially, it was also true with Sweetopia, where there was kind of it came out around Valentine's Day. It could also be Easter. It could also be Halloween, in a manner of speaking. We saw that there was a particular like getting us to that sort of holiday time Course. And then Widow's Walkabout, we did last Halloween, and people were like, oh, finally I can, go in this themed world, during the month where I'm sort of celebrating that vibe. And so we knew we wanted to get there and do a holiday course. But like a lot of ideas, really, it was sort of like, yeah, the basic idea is good, but how are we going to come at it in an unexpected way? Don Carson, our senior art director, talks a lot about we always want to meet expectations, but then exceed and surprise. And so it was like, yeah, we could do this in a way where it's like 1-to-1 in Santa's village or something like that. But it wasn't until we had the idea to combine the wish fulfillment of being small in a large world that it was like, oh, that's interesting. That's something we can sort of do a new and surprising take. Because I think, like the aforementioned Around the World in 80 Days, but much more personal, everyone has their own expectations around Christmas time traditions, right? The way you did it growing up was the right way. Everyone else was foolish. And so how are we going to do it? You go to your friend's house, you're like, ooh, not right. So how are you going to do this in a way where most people feel like it's familiar and cozy and sort of on the nose without being their exact, manifestation of Christmas? And so I think hopefully the way that the team came at it is satisfying. We went very classic, a little old world, kind of like it would have been your grandparents, or the decor and traditions that came from multiple generations, multiple households. And I think as we got into it, what we found is that every member of the team had different must-haves that were in the course, and they were all like, some people were like, I don't even know what are you talking about? What is that? Oh, in my house, you didn't have the gumdrop tree. That was something we always did. Because people have, European grandparents or, a different faith member in the household that sort of comes in. So we wanted to make sure that it sort of felt like a real mix match set of traditions and decor and sort of items that would be like any home you would go into. So hopefully we got that close to right.
Is there a Seinfeld Festivus reference maybe in there?
I don't know, Edward. I don't know if we actually got
I didn't put one in, but
yeah.
This is the fun thing. I lead modeler, everything passes under my eye, and then I don't recognize it. And everyone sneaks stuff in. There was a level I think I forgot to hide a body, and after the modeling team, we hand it to the tech artists who do all the materials and effects and lighting and make it actually run, which is, oh my God, incredible task for them.
That is incredible.
And I think one of them went, where's the body? Where's the body? And I went, I guess I'll put one in there. Like, too late, I've hidden 3. So
Hey, look, we're recording this before it's gone live, so there is time to quickly put a poll somewhere in, the Festivus poll somewhere in there. So you've got time. But like, true. It must be, especially for Edward, who's obviously you've been there for a very long time at Mighty Coconut, where like the way you've come from, because you've had original Gothic was like your first new course from the original ones, right? And that had your Halloween for easy, and then your like Christmas holiday for your hard. And now you've expanded those basically. And last year you had Widow's Walkabout, which was excellent. I always get scared playing it on my own because of that stupid doll that keeps disappearing. So I can never play it on my own. And I always turn
Andy
spiders
turns
off.
the spiders off. Yeah.
Every time.
you turn the spiders off.
Every time. Yeah. Can't do it, but that's why you put the mode in for people like me. But then you've got this now holiday mode, which is great because it's like original Gothic is what we once upon a time, maybe it was last year or the year before, did an episode of like favorite courses. In fact, we did one earlier this year where we did like a tournament ranking where we went through each course, and a lot of fan favorites is original Gothic. And in a way, this feels like you've just expanded. Obviously, they're completely different in terms of what they look like, but you've kind of expanded from that original DLC, quote unquote. It wasn't DLC, but it was like the new course, right? So it's amazing how far you've come from that course all the way to these expanded worlds. And there's so much detail in all of these courses nowadays compared to those. I mean, that's why you need to go back and remaster a few of them, because they don't kind of hold up right compared to the new ones. But it's a much more impressive to see.
Yeah. But we expect it.
That's funny.
It's a demanding fan base. But it must, yeah. But you must be really proud, right, from where it's all come from, like to where you are right
immensely. And everyone has, I think David touched on this before, everyone has a course that's really, really close to their heart. Or, they'll look at a course and go, this one matters because it was this. Original Gothic matters because it was the first.
now.
Shangri-La really, really matters to me. It was one of... Before we changed up how we do things because it was much more efficient and more people got to be involved with each course, which it makes better courses. But Shangri-La was sort of the last of a particular style of modeling. And so that one was really, really personal to me. And then Widow's Walkabout was, fantastic because I don't sort of talk about it much, but when I take my time off Walkabout, like a holiday, I go to my local theme park and design their Halloween installations. That's my holiday time. Is doing more work somewhere else because I it's a lovely crew and I enjoy doing it. Sort of Don comes in and goes, I've got all these ideas, from theme, and I walk in and go, I'm sorry, Don, I'm sorry. We got to do Halloween together, Don. I'm so sorry. And so that one was really fun because I got to, put a lot of weird things in as well. So I think everyone has something in the game. Like there's always a course for someone where it's just like, this means so much.
Well, and I think, spinning off of that, like we had a whole lot of debates about Christmas and sort of what it means for people. And it's not all cheery for everyone. Some people have a lot of melancholy about it. People have different traditions and expectations. And Don Carson, in his very charming, wise way, finally won me over because he said, well, this is the Christmas that everyone wishes for, but doesn't actually get. And I think that's really, really true. Whether that's aesthetically or just peace and quiet or stillness or whatever is sort of like, I think so much about the holidays is just about expectation. Like finally we're going to get along, or finally I'm going to get the thing I want, or finally the recipe is going to come together. And this is like one place where you actually can have, the Christmas time of your dreams. It could be, the lighting could be just so, there could be just a little bit of snow coming down from the window. The whole house is calm. And I think that's something that...
There's a couple corpses.
Exactly hidden around.
Naturally.
Classic Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Like every household, there's bodies there. But also that you can sort of like go there year round, where it's like, where I just sort of need that. I don't need to like go celebrate Christmas per se, but I do need a holiday, and I need to get away and just have a moment of nostalgia and stillness and wistfulness. Because I think that's when we talk about the emotion we want it to sort of elicit, it's a lot of just sort of like that reflection and just sort of like what you're kind of thinking ahead of, like, all right, what happened this year? What can happen? Or like, what's my best self, or the next thing that could happen if things sort of come together? And so I think that's what we try to evoke with the design, that people can hopefully go back there again and again, throughout the year, and have that same sort of feeling. Whereas original Gothic was sort of like a little bit of a morose. It was like a cemetery. There was a lot of tropes in there that we kind of didn't hit upon. We went a little bit more charming and wholesome, I think, with Holiday Hideaway.
I just thought of something as you were...
Holiday Hideaway, you should walk into it and it should feel like a hug. Like, one of those big hugs that somehow like envelops all of your being. You just get to like just drop everything, all the weight off your shoulders. That's sort of the vibe we were going for. That you walk in, you go, "Oh, this is right. This is
original Gothic is not like a hug."
No, right, exactly. It's like an elbow.
It's a spooky hug.
It's a spooky hug. I was just, as you were saying those beautiful words of how it's a hug and a heartwarming kind of course and such, I was just thinking back to what we talked about earlier in terms of having like a Seinfeld Festivus pole. I'm like, I know you've already done the Fox Hunt, the putter, and obviously, we don't want to spoil what the putter is, but I just thought in my mind it would be hilarious if everyone did all this Fox Hunt and then the putter was just the Festivus pole with the putter at the end, and all of a sudden that beautiful like holiday joy just disappeared.
Just the pole.
Oh, that'd have been funny. But Edward, how long has this course been in the making? Like, and also, as you're obviously doing a lot of designing, obviously with the balls as well. You must be in the holiday mood for quite a long time, as you've been been designing this, right?
Yeah, well, the courses take 18 to 12 months, sort of thing, in sort of generally. Sometimes it's not as long. Sometimes a course just comes together. You look at it and everyone is on the same page. Holiday Hideaway was one such course. Once we, figured out the vibe, everyone understood. We'd figured it out, and everyone went, I know exactly how this should feel.
Mhm.
And that was so important. Everyone sort of came aboard and went, I'm doing this. And it was always perfect. Like Holiday Hideaway went so well in terms of sort of all the stages because everyone just really got it. And then some courses sort of kick and scream the whole way. A particular one is 8-bit. That Digiverse went through millions of revisions. It honestly, for a long time, it was just sort of, I was just the main model and I was like, I'll fix the Digiverse. And I personally made like 8 versions of the whole Digiverse. David can attest because for a good chunk of that, I was like 6 weeks. I was in America working from the office, and David and me were in the same room. He just got to hear me sort of being really mad at a small computer screen for like 6 weeks. And it's like, oh, I thought Australians were pleasant. No, not right now. Because we just sort of, it was real. It took us so long to like get it. And so that course took a huge amount of time. Because it just needed to be right. And it was so weird that we couldn't figure out. And then, of course, once we got it. And that's what came out, and we're all very happy with it. But it was really interesting that some courses, like Holiday Hideaway, you just start, and once, really early on, we figured out the vibe. Once, we got that, everyone who came aboard, as it went down the chain, just got it. And it went flawlessly, and it went really, really well. And then some courses, it's just a battle to get it right, but it's a great battle and we all enjoy it. And then it comes out and it's like, perfect, nailed it.
Yeah, it was specifically, I think, in late September, early October of last year that they did these design sort of summits where Don and Henning and Lucas will go usually to Oregon, where Don and Henning are, and do pen and paper and gravity sketch work. But they drew out the idea for the Holiday Hideaway course. Don did that. That's how Don draws. Actually, he's left-handed. So it's more like that. But anyway,
it's flipped on the
exactly.
camera.
But he drew it like, and it's 1-to-1. It looks exactly like the concept that he drew 15 months ago on a piece of paper is exactly what we ended up doing. Like the layout, the corner of the fireplace, the whole thing. And I can send that to you, and you can, pull it up for folks to see, because it's sometimes, like Edward says, they'll just sort of nail it. I think it's often there's literally a list of like 150 ideas, and there's 10 courses in the works ahead that we're playing and actively working on. But of those 150 courses, there's a lot of ones where it's like, we want to do that, but haven't quite figured out the take, And I think that was very much one for the holidays, which is like, yeah, we're going to get to that eventually, but not until we figure out how we're going to do it in a way that's surprising and worth building and worth going back to. And so this was one where once we had it, though, it was like, that's the take. That's going to be the thing that's going to get us excited and keep us excited for 15 months running, because we can't just kind of slog through it. Otherwise, you would feel it in the end. So,
how did you get Mariah Carey to do the soundtrack?
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it was out of favor. And actually, the soundtrack. Interesting story on that, which is, we. Actually, that was on a future thing. Well, yeah. So for this, we'll talk about that next episode. But but the soundtrack for this one, Chris actually did put a lot of audio Easter eggs in there. So he wanted to, so much of what people associate with Christmas time is are tunes that they listen to, and whether that was like classical guitar version or a choral version or something they listen to at a place of worship. And so he's kind of, in this case, done a medley of holiday tunes and kind of public domain, old world sounds together, so that people can also, as they're searching for lost balls and fox hunt clues, can also hear little Christmas melodies as well.
I like that. So now that we've talked a little bit about this latest holiday course, it begs the question, perhaps maybe if you could tease us with what might be the next holiday we'll be celebrating in Walkabout.
Yeah,
What holidays are most popular? What's the one that everyone has a connection to?
Arbor Day. Yeah, eventually, if we're going long enough, like we're going to go way down the list where it's like
the Charlie Browns. Yeah, every Charlie Brown needs
exactly.
a
Yeah.
walkabout.
You've kind of
This
got
is
back.
where the company should
you.
really be residing in Australia, because we take a day off for anything.
Yeah.
Australians will go to celebrate the opening of an envelope. One of the longest holidays we get a 4-day weekend because there is a horse race in Melbourne that nobody watches, but you can take a solid Monday and Tuesday off about it. So we get a 4-day public holiday. Everything closes.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So there's a few.
You've technically got Valentine's Day in there already, technically, Sweetopia in that hard mode, right? Because that's very lovey-dovey, and you've got all the little hearts and such, and it's so you've kind of already got another one in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like, because my head goes to July 4th, but that's very American and American centric. I'm trying to think more worldly.
Yeah, that's the thing is we could also because I think that would be there could be one kind of whole subset of things that kind of take you to other places, maybe holidays that are in different regions of the world that we haven't already taken people to courses. So that could be exciting, like Festival of Colors and things of that nature. There could also be occasions. We could have a birthday course or a wedding course or a funeral course, or so there's all sorts of ways that we could do sort of like big life moments that because it's it's someone's birthday every day. But again, we have to come up with a take that's worthwhile, and kind of worth doing. But
I mean, we've sort of got Spring Festival, sort of Chinese New Year in the Shangri-La course. That all the food we put in was just me going to sort of Spring Festival celebrations, being like, well, I'll model that and I'll model that, and just sort of choosing the tastiest things and putting them in. Now I'm gonna champion Guy Fawkes behind the scenes. I think 18th hole where you putt into Parliament and it explodes. Really, that's really tasteful.
Yes, exactly.
I think really tasteful.
Love it.
I like it.
Love it. I'm excited to hear that you're also releasing some Walkabout holiday merch as well in line with the course. David, can you speak to
definitely. I mean, like the asterisk here will be like everything may not make exactly on time, but what we're looking to do is we'll update our kind of roundup. It's our 30th course. We've got like a lost ball and a putter poster, so we'll have those updated. We're working on kind of a holiday hideaway sweater themed sweatshirt ornaments. We also have a coloring book with the concept art from a lot of the courses. That's kind of an adult coloring book that's coming out as well. I think those are the main things. We are working on a third party accessory sort of partnership, but TBD on exact timing on that. We'll have more coming soon for sure, because we want to make more fun stuff for people to, because again, it reinforces that idea of sharing. So people like to get it for each other, either for a special occasion or when they win their personal tournament or whatever. They like to trade gifts back and forth. So we want to give them new and fun and funny ways to do that. And,
the coloring book's a great idea for a cozy holiday season. I think that's
for sure. Hopefully it'll be fun. Again, it's like the cozy activity, sit around the tree and zone out.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, I'll send it to
you. Okay, so this December, we've got obviously the Holiday Hideaway is released. We've got the ball sorting tray, 8-bit lair is on Pocket Edition, and then you've got some holiday merch. What we haven't talked about, and maybe towards where we end out the show here, is you've also dropping the Exploding Kittens avatars as well.
Yeah. So when I joined 3 years ago, there was a sticky note someone handed me, and it just said, Elon Lee Exploding Kittens. And maybe it had an email or phone number or something like that. And it's the CEO of the Exploding Kittens card game is a super fan of Walkabout and plays it with his brother and loved it so much. So I eventually got in touch with them. We just started kind of talking. Maybe we played around together and just said, let's keep in touch. Then we had him on for a Walkabout Talk About episode. And then he actually wanted to come back when we'd launched Labyrinth. And he interviewed Lucas as kind of a flip-flop of that scenario. And then when we did Laser Lair, we decided to do a second fox hunt. And he was like, because I think he had approached us maybe a month prior and said, I would really love to do a fox hunt. I've actually done a lot of game design. We're like, all right, great. So we, he made an Exploding Kittens fox hunt in that course. And so we made a Taco Cat putter for that course. And then so when we started doing our paid kind of licensed avatar packs, we knew that he would be the first on our list because we like to play with people who want to play with us. And so we had done 2 with Henson, Fraggle Rock and the Dark Crystal. And we knew it'd be funny and weird. And sort of what I love about them is that, they're kind of true to the characters, but in a way that like 3D, they're kind of off-putting in a way. And, like you have these like cats with these sort of like dead dangling arms, and we famously have no bodies or legs whatsoever. So it's funny to kind of give people, we're perversely granting their wish of legs with like dead cat legs and, vomiting rainbows and that sort of thing. But we're hoping that what we hear so much from players is like some of them love Fraggle Rock and Dark Crystal. But some of them just do it to make each other laugh. Like they buy it just because it's a way to kind of catch each other off guard. And so we're hoping that Exploding Kittens will be that like times 10 because they're just so off-puttingly absurd and beautiful and weird and strange. So and he's been like so great about it. Like his notes are like, yeah, awesome, that's great. Maybe a little more rainbow vomit, that sort of thing. So that's when people ask who we want to partner with, it's like we want to partner with people that want to. It'll be fun to make the partnership with. We don't want to do a business deal and go off and do something based off of a spreadsheet. Like we want to have fun doing it.
Yeah, Dan actually won't play a game if you're wearing the spider hat.
Sure, yeah, it's a real thing.
I don't want to talk to you in this game. I don't want to look to my right and then all of a sudden there's something there.
Dan, I have a great gift for you.
You do.
The knowledge that those spiders are based on a real Australian species of spider.
Really? That doesn't surprise me.
The Dumna insignis, the black house spider, the most common spider, is what they're based on. The science is a little off, but...
yeah, not to scale, potentially. That's fair enough. Oh, that's fair enough. No, I love the avatars are really fun. Like, for some reason, I can't think of one in my head, but there's one specific one where we were just in a game of like 4 or 5 people, and I think what they had as the avatar wasn't like a face or anything like that. It was something silly, and every time I looked and I was having like an intellectual conversation with this person, I was like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Look, I can't remember which one it is.
There's like a pizza slice, and there's a potato,
something
and
like
a clam
that.
head. Yeah, we've got a.
I think it's a potato.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was the potato.
Have like a wistful or intellectual conversation. Yeah,
it's
Emma
so
and now Shane on the team like really do a brilliant job of like you can just sort of be like, what if, again, like we do it with each other, and they're always like they do it better. They have some funny take. It's like Emma's always so thoughtful and kind. She's always like, is this stupid? We're like, yes, put it in. It's stupid and wonderful. Like, yeah, and sort of like there's that weird sort of off-putting thing where it's like you're talking to a potato and like it makes a weird sort of like connotation. You're like, there's actually kind of emotion coming from this potato. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that. It's really, really funny. So we have a good time doing it.
Go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just about to say, because you just mentioned a couple of team members there, I just want to give a quick shout out to Jeff Bull Jr., who's on the Mighty Coconut team. He came on Let's Talk Oculus, I think it was like episode 10 or something, back in like July 2021, like really like roughly when we started the podcast. So I just wanted to give him a good shout out because we're still active on Twitter and such like that, and I saw him when he obviously got the job at Mighty Coconut. I was like, that's really fun because he's still kind of in the space.
He's multi-talented, so a lot of people may not know. Like Lucas actually do a lot of the Foley sound effects himself, but now Jeff does them. So like the sliding ice sound, pretty much any out of the box sound that we do, Jeff does personally. And this course and the next course that's coming after Holiday Hideaway is like so much of him, his brilliant work. He's a musician as well, and so he pulls in a lot of those skills. But yeah, he really puts a lot of care and thought into everything he does. But I love the audio work especially.
episode 11, I just looked it up. If anyone's listening to this and wants to check that out, we were probably very rusty at that time. It was, and we probably look a little bit different. My hair may have gone a little bit. Samson may have had a thicker beard. I don't know. But
COVID times.
Exactly.
It was a long time ago.
It is always fun because virtual reality and game dev, they're small worlds. They're very small worlds. And so sort of Jeff Bull Jr. came on the team and I'm like, I follow you on Twitter. Like an absolute stalker was the first thing I said to him. And he's sort of a little slightly terrified and goes, thank you.
Oh, bless.
Retweet me.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up the show, our holiday,
Was that a pun?
There we go. With two, rather difficult questions for y'all here. And we'll start with David. And one thing we're doing right now in the LTO community, we do a sort of 5 or 6 week long walkabout tournament, if you will, where we choose 2 courses each week, an easy and a hard course. And then I compile all the standings. We do race mode and standard stroke play. And then we don't really, a tournament is a loose word because there's no real competition. It's just like participation and here's everybody's scores. But this right now we're doing one where it's every course that's released in 2024. And so we'd like to ask you, what has been your favorite course of 2024? And I guess since we have the holiday one coming out, I'll stipulate so far.
Yeah. And David, if you want a quick reminder, Around the World in 80 Days, Ice Lair, Venice, Walkabout, Wallace and Gromit, Wallace and Gromit, Mars Garden, 8-Bit Lair, and Holiday Hideaway. That's not counting the remaster that we had.
Yeah, the Cherry Blossom,
Cherry Blossom as well. But maybe you could add that in too, because that is very pretty, and you expanded that course as well. So maybe we can throw that in as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I would say Around the World in 80 Days, even though like there was a lot of emotions around that course coming out that was sort of made my days during the launch difficult. It's still like, it's so just sort of lovely and charming and wistful. And that really strikes a note with me. And I think also like inevitably we do a thing internally where we call it like a hard hat tour. And so before a course launches, we'll do come in. The idea is that the communications team, the storytelling team wants to hear from all the artists and engineers and everyone and be like, what was your inspiration? What are the Easter eggs? What are the technical tricks? And it's this really lovely moment because we not only absorb and get access to get everyone in a great big room, but also it's like, guys, we've really done something, and this is the last moment before we cut the ribbon and let all the people in, right? And so that one especially, we did it. We hopped into hard mode, and we were up there on the platform, and the fireworks were going on. It was really emotional. It was like, wow. Like I get goosebumps thinking about it. Like you could see the entire 1887 city of Paris that, Jeremy had modeled out. You see the fireworks, you see all these things coming off, the elephant, and piano and everything sort of floating. It's like, it really felt like this whole other sort of like scale and sort of level of ambition, but just also the little touches, the potato on a stick and all the little gags that are in there are just, it's like, I often say that, I heard a good friend say something once that I repeat often, which is that all the experiences and sort of interests in your life seem totally unrelated until you find your calling, and then they seem totally related. And that's the way I feel like with Mighty Coconut Walkabout Mini Golf, where it's like my obscure pop culture knowledge and trivia and particular sense of humor and wistfulness and all these sort of things really play into it, where it's like that is something, that course in particular was just like just so touching and so wonderful. And I felt really close to the entire team as we were doing it. So how about you, Edward, though? What is yours?
To the surprise of absolutely no one, Wallace and Gromit.
Yes, of course.
So
such a
earlier
great
on,
course.
I mentioned that we're all a bit woolly about our particular jobs and particular titles. It's all a bit, mishmash. And so the second there was the potential of Wallace and Gromit, I'm sort of like fainting. I'm falling off my chair. I'm screaming wildly, and they can hear it 15,000 kilometers away in the office. Except I obsession. And when I was a kid, every day after school was making stop motion animations. I'd write letters to Nick Park. I have
No way.
letters in return and, like signed things. Like it beyond obsessed. It was so important to me. I did an engineering degree because I wanted to be Wallace growing up. So clearly, it persevered into my adulthood. And we said, oh, you're going to be doing Wallace and Gromit. And I probably very rudely, but everyone was very kind to me about it, sort of elbowed my way into not just modeling, but the design. Because I'm going, I want to get the house right. And so I obsessively, went through all the films and went, okay, not only does the house design change between films, it changes between shots in the film and trying to figure out how to make that. And I just had such a wonderful time trying to figure out not just our interpretation, but how the house could work. And I remember at one point early on, we sent, because we were really involved with them and, sending off designs, and we got like a thing back, and it might have been an illustration, I think, from Nick Park of the layout of the house, going, this is actually what the layout is, not, here it is, here's the real layout. And we went, thank you, Nick. We don't think you know enough about Wallace and Gromit. We'll do our own. So that was, and, I tried my hand at designing holes and I wasn't very good at it, but like 2 sort of made it in. And there's just so much stuff every time I go through that level. There's so much, there's just so much of my heart and soul in it in the best possible way because, I was part of a team that just, really just gave me, the space to let me be truly mad. You wouldn't get that at like any other company, someone trying to barge their way into another department because they were really excited. But, it wasn't just like, they didn't just allow it, it was rewarded. And it was really one of those beautiful, kind moments that I'm holding in my heart. And then I get to go through the level and be like, oh, those sketches of Wallace's things, they were like my attempt at doing concept art early on for gadgets and stuff. And it just, everything about that course. And then it came out and everyone else loved it. Like before it released, I was going, oh, I've lived and breathed this and this really means a lot to me, but I don't know if anyone else is going to care. And then it came down and everyone loved it. And I was doing, yay. Oh, thank goodness.
That's a good one.
Oh. Yeah.
It was funny because Ardeman's notes didn't come as much from like a brand book sort of place. It was more of an English, like English people would never, cut the butter that way. Or, the refrigerator is all wrong for England. They all, in particular, like arguments amongst themselves about the right length of the drapes and that that sort of thing, but they were just lovely to work with, and very proud.
Yeah, and
wonderful.
You got to visit them in the studio in the UK as well.
Yeah, we
right?
did. The way that came about is we had every year we have a South by Southwest event, and we were announcing Meow Wolf at kind of an old crusty mini golf course here called Peter Pan Mini Golf, and a guest of a guest showed up from Ardeman. And he had never done VR, never done our game, but it was just like, and there was no VR at the event. It was, we had dressed up all the courses as our courses and piped in the music. And he was just like, whatever this is, this is like the kind of, scrappy weirdo people we like to work with. And so we went out to coffee. And so before we even had a deal inked, we made our way over to Bristol and met with them. And they were just so lovely, took us in, we got to do a tour through of the studio, and they were actually working on Vengeance Most Foul, and so we got to see some of that in progress. But they were just so collaborative and so welcoming, and really helped us because we work with any kind of partner. We want to go and like lay hands on the things and actually understand what their culture is about, and really get a feel for it, because we know that it would come across as phony if we just sort of like, whatever, we Googled some stuff and then put it in there. It's like, we want to really have those in jokes, so that the deep, and usually like in the case of Wallace and Gromit, we had Edward and a couple of others that were like die hard. You could wake Edward out of a dead sleep and be like, what's your idea for Wallace and Gromit? You're like, well, first you must do this. So we had that. We want to make sure that the most diehard fans got it and felt like it was 62 West Wallaby Street, so that's kind of our ambition with every course, is that it feels real in a way.
And one of the great things about these spaces, they're so collaborative, not even just with us and Ardman. There was this other group making the Wallace and Gromit VR game that came out shortly before ours, and we sort of muscle our way, and we're going, we're also doing Wallace and Gromit, and they're going, really? Because we're doing Wallace and Gromit in VR, and theirs was based on golf. Theirs was they go to Mars and play golf, and we're going, oh, we're doing Wallace and Gromit golf, and they went, really? And then we got to talk to them, we got to meet them, and it was just one of those like, if it could have been scary, but no, it was wonderful, and it was an excuse to meet new people and talk, and we all got to go, oh, this is what we're doing, and they went, oh, this is what we're doing, and so it was very much a really respectful, like, oh, we're going to do this, and like, oh, well, we don't want to do that, we'll do something different, sort of on both sides, and every sort of team in together. And I think we ended up one of their creations, the character, like, the sort of thing that wanders around holding sort of golf clubs and stuff from their AR game, not their VR game, we put that in, and it holds golf clubs at the front, so we're trying to be like, oh, this is the thing that you guys did, and it was really one of those great examples of how this space invites friendship more than anything else. It's like Golf Plus came out around the same time Walkabout did, and all the people involved, just so lovely. Ryan's just one of the loveliest people alive, and it, I believe they're in Austin as well. It could have been like this great, the two golf games sort of, but it's actually just meant a lot of friendships and a lot of, I love Golf Plus and everything they're working on. Shout out to Golf Plus. It's marvelous. And it's just one of those like great, I'm really appreciative of this industry more, that every time you do something same as someone else, no one seems to get competitive. Everyone goes, oh, fantastic. Let's all, become friends over this. And it's just freaking lovely, man. It's just so freaking nice.
I just thought of Good Burger and Mondo Burger for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I just realized, Samson, we got our work cut out for ourselves. Like every year we do, at the end of the year, do a walkabout rankings of well, originally it was just all of our courses, but now there's so many, it's just better just to do, let's just rank.
Soon it'll be 2 days long.
Yeah, it's always a long episode, but it's always a nice to look back on the year of 2024 and go through each course again, because our community are big, obviously, Walkabout fans as well. So to go through, but I'm looking at the course, it's been such a strong year for you guys. Like you've absolutely crushed it. You've really crushed it. Just to end the show here, I just wanted to give David another shot to answer it, because Edward, you already said Shangri-La was your special course that kind of hold dears to your heart. David, do you have that, or was that Around the World in 80 Days, as you mentioned?
Of all the courses,
yeah.
I mean, I think for me, Labyrinth was one of those for real. Definitely the most tender part of little bitty David's heart is all Jim Henson, right? Sesame Street, The Muppet Show, anything that Jim Henson did was just I was in the middle of that target demographic as a child. And so when I first met with the Martells, because they had been clients in a previous life, they were something VR and something mini golf. And I was like, whatever. And they're like, yeah, we need some marketing. I said, I'm sure you do. Good luck with that. They're like, and also we're talking to Jim Henson. I was like, what? And so the ability to work with them, go to the studio, one of the most, top 5 experiences of my entire lifetime. And they were so lovely. But that course, it meant so much to me personally, but what it meant to our players was incredible. I remember there's always lovely reactions from astute, technological observations are just dope. But that was one I had to take my headset off because I was crying into my headset. So it really touched a tender part of people's souls. And so I think for me, I think about personally what the experience was of getting to do that, but also just sort of what that meant for the studio, what it meant for the game, what it meant for the player community. It just all sort of came together, and it definitely was one of those level up. We're very fortunate in that, as we said up top, that our player community is very, by and large, receptive of what we do, and sort of they treat us with a lot of grace. But that was one where it was ooh, big leagues. We're getting ready to do something that really matters to a whole lot of people, and so it was a whole different level for us. But I still look back on it so fondly, and I still love to crack it open and play it and get all those same sort of feelings when I do. So yeah, that one's probably the most special to me.
I do love the sneak.
Yeah, the sneak Ball, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It was a fun. I'm not sure if it's a bug or a feature. Early on, we realized you could just keep putting it into the bog, and we just add more and more sting. Until you could have done it like 100 times if you turned off stroke limit, and you had this ball because it would be stinky for the rest of the game, and you just couldn't see it was in a cloud, and it would just wreck performance. And
Yeah, the original idea also is that it was going to make a fart noise every time you hit it, so it was going to be like.
So good.
We tried it, but it became too annoying, unfortunately.
That'd be too funny. It might score
exactly,
be terrible.
Exactly, that would be the end of the match.
Yeah.
Question for you guys though. So we've said the courses, I know you're about to do like 2024, the proper leaderboards, but just like tip of your tongue, with no thought behind it, what was your moment of 2024 Walkabout edition? I don't care about anyone else, just us.
Like moment, like not in particular, just a course, just in general moment.
Yeah, just a moment.
Oh, my moment is straight away just comes to mind is when we first tried race mode with like our group of people in the Discord of our like LTO community. I think there was maybe 5 or 6 of us, and we were going through each of the modes to try them. And when we tried race mode for the first time, it was so freaking hilarious because everybody all of a sudden had super anxiety and was like putting all over the place, and
it got really quiet.
Yeah, it got really quiet. Yeah, all of a sudden we stopped talking, and some of the shots I made were like amazing, but then no one could see them because everyone was either behind or ended. So I'm like screaming, or other people like screaming on the thing, but no one's talking to each other. We're just trying to race. And that last hole, I think we played it I think Cherry Blossom came out at the same time, and that we played the Cherry Blossom. I think it was hard or easy. I can't remember.
That hole is punishingly hard.
The 18th hole.
Yeah, the 18th hole. The 18th hole on race mode. I was almost there. I think it was me and you, Samson, who got right to the end there, and I was almost there, and I missed it. And Samson got it, and then he put it out and he won, and that was so like annoying. So that's definitely like one of the things that first thing that comes into mind. The race mode when we did it with the group was so much fun, and it was just so many laughs.
That's funny.
Gosh, it's honestly quite difficult to answer this question. There's been so many hours of Walkabout spent on the year. But if I have to pick one thing here on the spot, then I'm sure will change if you ask me this question again in a week. It's low gravity mode. Just like how different that changes how you attack those 3 courses. It's just it's whirlwinds of fun. And to do things that you're like, oh, I've always wanted to do it this way, and now you can try it that way. It's very cool. So I'm a fan of everything that's been added. Also, the distance to the hole. I'm a fan of this because sometimes you just get sick of that normal cadence. You're like, okay, every third shot I'm going to shoot, and it adds a little bit of mix of like, oh wait, how many strokes ahead am I or are you? Yeah, I'm appreciative of everything and just how much this is built, and I like to always think back to when I was trying to convince friends to buy this game for $15, and I was like, they're like only 4 courses, and I was like, no, like get it, please, get it, and soon thereafter, Gothic came out and was like, now it's 5, come on, and just to see how far it is now, it's just crazy to think about. It's just such an incredible game.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, David Edward, we could talk for another hour and a half and such, but I think we need to stop it here because otherwise the listeners have got like over 2.5 hours worth of content. And, I mean, I'm sure they appreciate it and such, but thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always an honor to talk to folks at Mighty Coconut because it's a game that we love, and it's kind of a game that kind of based our podcast. Like it's one of the games that we really resonated with and our community as well. So it's always like, even my partner was asking me earlier, she was like, oh, the podcast's at 4:30, you're going to be okay to do it? And I was like, yeah, it's going to be a really fun conversation. Like it always is, even though we have like a bit of a script so we can like keep on track. Like it's always a good time, and it's always fun to talk to you both now with David obviously as well. So really appreciate you both coming on.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Anytime. I mean, yeah, it as always, just an absolute freaking delight. Although, I remember at one point, because obviously I'm always listening, that there was a discussion of let's talk Oculus. The name Oculus isn't around. May I suggest let's talk Walkabout? Really cement.
I mean, Oculus, yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad spin-off idea, at least. But
Talk about Walkabout. It's a little similar.
Yeah, it becomes a bit too competitive. We want to keep a little bit of distance, but yeah, no, we really appreciate you guys.
We appreciate all in any input.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to point out to the listeners, because there's always, every time I say something slightly incorrect about Walkabout, someone always messages me on Discords, corrects me. So before you correct me, I'm pretty sure I said 32 putters in the game. I'm pretty sure it's actually 33, because I forgot that you can do the second one. What was it? The Exploding Kittens one. I forgot about that one.
Laser has 2 and Mist has 3.
Mist has 3, yeah. I think I forgot about that one. So I'm pretty sure it's 33 up until this point. Edward's going to correct me further.
38.
There's 38?
Oh, because there was some original ones in there as well.
Yeah, so I'm doing this based on, if you go to our website, we've got the press kit, and every time a course comes out, I put renders of all the balls in and renders of all the putters in, and I just counted how many files there are in the putters folder, and I'm like, well, there's 38 renders, there must be 38 putters.
That's true. Of course, you had the original ones as well.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, it must be 38. So there we go. But yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the show. Of course, you can now pick up all of these extra features. You've got Holiday Hideaway, Exploding Kittens, Ball Sorting Tray, which is something that everyone's going to love. I know it, especially the diehards. If you've got the Pocket Edition, you've got the 8-bit layer, and obviously when the holiday merch drops, there's you'll be able to buy them on the website as well. All the links will be in the description below. And if you want more Walkabout, remember at the end of the year, we are also going to do a special Walkabout 2024 in review around Christmas time, so you can stay tuned for that. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dean.
We'll see you next week. Take care.
See you.